Really hope that talent changes before the gate opens, or he's not going to have soul rending. We saw how quickly he died actually to Walrix's team when he was running this build with Netherwalk as opposed to soul rending. So Choccy Milkman may see Fuston as a target. He's going to have significantly lowered self-sustained healing. Ratcher's moving in to secure crowd control. It looks like the Choccy Milkmen want to start with an all-in on Burley. Big damage, but no follow-up stun. Clyde wasn't in position. Burley's going to exchange his Earthen Wall Totem, although I'm not sure if he would have liked to use the Earthen Wall Totem for Vendetta and perhaps the anti-magic zone for the combustion. These cooldowns are now not going to line up. He's going to have to rely on Astral Shift, and Astral Shift doesn't last as long as Vendetta does, so there could be an opening here. They're immediately going to pull the trigger, just using their stuns on cooldown on Burley. This time getting the follow-up, but reversed back by Fuston. Good counter pressure from the DHDK Nation at this time, with Gelu and Clyde both low on health. The more time that Choccy Milkmen spend chasing Burley, the more damage they are going to take in exchange.
A really important part of this game is going to be Gelu on that Mage. He's playing Kleptomania to empower his spell steal. So when Ratcher gets a kidney shot on Burley, that's when Gelu has to move in. He needs to get the spell steal to remove Ghost Wolf. And if he's unable to do that, the damage they do is not going to be significant. There it is, the kidney shot into the spell steal. But every time this happens, Fuston has been doing a really good job stunning up Gelu, imprisoning him, slowing down a lot of the damage he's able to put out. But even still, Burley, he has to trade out the Astral Shift. He has to trade out the Spirit Link. Choccy Milkman's been doing a really good job getting a lot of cooldowns, and we haven't even seen Clyde get that aggressive in this matchup. It's mostly just been Ratcher and Gelu who's been able to force out all this pressure.
I'm curious to see if they can kill Burley in the next stun with Hammer of Justice, Kidney Shot, and then vanish into Garrote Silence. That is a long crowd control chain where Burley won't be able to access Ghost Wolf should Gelu be able to spell steal, which he should be able to as they do engage in attack. Fuston once again stunning up both damage dealers while Burley is in a stun, allowing him to survive that burst attempt. Even still with Fuston's assistance, Burley hovers on very low health. Ratcher's just going to continue the chase at the Shaman. Gelu is now focusing on trying to crowd control the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter using Polymorph, and Frost Nova is here shortly. And as soon as Gelu has control of both the Demon Hunter and the Death Knight, I do imagine that he's going to be wanting to get to Burley as soon as possible. So before dampening DHDK Nation, their main objective should be try to get as much mana out of Clyde and don't let Burley die. Whereas the Choccy Milkmen, their major objective is to just kill Burley as soon as possible before they run out of mana if they keep playing to this strategy.
Ooh, nice.
The strategies could change depending on Gladiator Medallion usage. If Fuston uses his Gladiator Medallion to assist Burley, he is then a target moving forward for a Smoke Bomb, which line of sights heals and other spells from your own team. So I'm really interested to see if DHDK Nation, they veer off of the straight and narrow path at all, and if Choccy Milkmen look to exploit it. So far, there isn't anything for them to exploit. They have to keep to the main strategy of training Burley.
Yep, Gelu, he tried to get offensive there, but there was a really nice play by Fuston. He got the Fell Eruption on Gelu. Gelu trinketed out to try to assist, try to take down Burley, but he got immediately put into imprisonment. You can see, once again, Kidney Shot, Fell Eruption on Gelu. And Fuston's been doing a really good job in this matchup, but it might not matter. Burley gets low, trades out Trinket, Astral Shift, Darkness, and AMZ. DHDK Nation, huge panic mode. This blind setup.
Oh, it's over.
It's over. Burley is so done here. If he gets zapped again into a stun, the game is 100% over. Smoke Bomb gets dropped out. Do they have the damage? If he survives this, it's going to be an absolute miracle. I don't think there's any chance. Hammer of Justice comes in. Somehow, he survives? I cannot believe it. That was a perfect setup from Choccy Milkman, and they got denied.
Ratcher got imprisoned during that attack and couldn't commit enough damage to finish Burley off. He was able to get Earthen Wall Totem down, get into Ghost Wolf, and then immediately re-stabilize.
I'm in disbelief.
I am as well. They're going for another attempt. Burley's in midfield, in line of sight of Gelu. He can do a lot of damage here potentially. Fuston's trying to counter pressure Ratcher off of Burley, but Ratcher doesn't seem to care. He just keeps chasing the Shaman. Ratcher stunned away and finally is forced off. Burley gets out of line of sight, goes for a healing surge. He's a bit afraid of maybe a blink counter spell or Ratcher moving in with a Shadow Step kick. So Burley instead is going to go for the safe play. Just going to Ghost Wolf, allow the Spectral Recovery, allow the Pack Spirit to heal himself back up, take no risk with being interrupted when running this Honor Talent and Azurite trait combination, as well as I would imagine the Spirit Wolf, which is another talent. You take those 3 Ghost Wolf talents and you're almost immortal as a Shaman and Ghost Wolf. Unless the team has a way to remove your Ghost Wolf or catches you in a stun while you're not in it, you are almost guaranteed to not die. Burley, in the meantime, has got a full Hex. Gelu is not dispelling it, taking a really long time to dispel it. And that could have potentially been an ice block. Gelu can't afford to be slow on those decurses. Definitely could be an opportunity for DHDK Nation in the future if he continues.
Yeah, Joel grips Gelu away. Unfortunately, not really able to assist his team right now. And you can tell how badly Gelu wants to get to Burley in these situations, but Joel, Chains of Ice, Death Grip, Imprisonment, Foul Eruption coming in from his team. Burley's had really good backup in this matchup. Without that kind of backup, he would have been gonzo a long time ago. Gelu is, in fact, playing Gnome as well, so that Escape Artist Racial is going to help him get out of that Chains of Ice and try to make his way over to Burley, but it hasn't been paying off so much. It's basically a game of cat and mouse. In order for Burley to go down, Gelu has to be there to assist. So the entire objective of DH Nation is just bring Gelu away, stun him up, imprison him, keep him Chains of Ice, and Burley just needs to create as much space as possible.
Another attempt here onto Burley. They need the Hammer of Justice. They get it. Reverse magic, though. They Spirit Link Totem. Burley a bit afraid of this attempt as it is Vendetta. Big damage from Ratcher potentially. I will say, though, deeper into dampening these hits onto Burley, I feel like there's almost no way that he actually survives. So long as Clyde can have enough mana to keep the team going, I think the Chalky Milkmen are going to take it with this strategy. Ratcher keeps tunneling him down. Gelu looking for polys on Joel. Joel now, this is a nice move by the Death Knight. So the anti-magic shield is usually a defensive cooldown. You want to use it to stop yourself from taking magic damage, but it also makes you immune to crowd control. So Joel knows he's not the target, so instead of using anti-magic shield defensively, he's using it to avoid crowd control and try to maximize his uptime. Although Burley could be in a bit of trouble here. Triple stun from Fuston stalls it out. Burley on the run once again in that Ghost Wolf. Gelu trying to crowd control with the double Frost Nova polymorph cast. Burley, if he dispels these polymorphs, also has to leave Ghost Wolf, which is why this strategy is effective from the Chalky Milkmen. Either the Demon Hunter or the Death Knight have to sit a full polymorph, or Burley comes out of Ghost Wolf and potentially dies. Now they're using the Hammer of Justice to cross crowd control, trying to remove darkness as an option in terms of defensive cooldowns. But Joel was ready and waiting with the anti-magic zone, that purple barrier going to allow Burley to easily shake off this attack.
Yeah, earlier on in the game, we saw a bit of a panic mode for DHDK Nation. Burley, he Trinket, Astral Shift, Houston dropped out Darkness, Joel, anti-magic zone, and that's basically... They were so non-committal with their cooldowns that they had to use all of them in order for Burley to survive, and it was a really close call. So what we want to see from DHDK Nation is don't be so afraid, wait long to use those cooldowns. You want to use them a little bit more preemptively on these setups. They're not the longest cooldowns, so they will rotate back up, and you can see Burley, he's got Trinket, Astral Shift, Houston still has his Darkness, so just use them during those scary moments when you're still high on hit points. I think that's probably going to be a great solution for DHDK Nation. I think it's something they've improved on in this matchup.
Right, Vendetta pulled here from Ratcher. Burley going to respect that and use his Astral Shift, but dampening's getting pretty high. I'm not sure how much longer this Ghost Wolf build is going to allow Burley to survive. So DHDK Nation need to get some work done here, start getting a lot more mana rifts onto Clyde if they want to close the game out, or at least build more pressure. Those aggressive anti-magic shields from Joel are definitely going to be part of allowing them to be aggressive. Potentially they should use reverse magic as well on these Frost Novas instead of using them on Burley to get more uptime. This could be a way for DHDK Nation to just deal more damage and end the game, because at a certain point I think Burley will be overwhelmed. Chalky Milkmen, though, they're mixing it up. They see a different path to victory. Burley with no Trinket is susceptible to Blind Sap. Joel as a Death Knight in dampening is susceptible to just dying. So Chalky Milkmen take that opportunity to switch targets. A big opening. Darkness is going to fade shortly and Joel's going to fall.
Nice.
Immediate strategy change from Chalky Milkmen. They're following that one strat, but as soon as another one opens...
Gameplay going into game 2.
All right, can DHDK Nation clean up the cooldown usage here against the Chalky Milkmen? Chalky Milkman saw an opening on the Death Knight, having him use his anti-magic shield aggressively to actually target him right as dampening got high. So to me, DHDK Nation just didn't prepare for that situation, or they were overconfident. Burley again going to be the target. They're using Hammer of Justice on the Demon Hunter so that he can't support. So Joel will have to trade, but it's more than fair with the combustion of Gelu to use anti-magic zone. It's more important if Gelu is running the Firestarter build, which I can imagine that he is. He can actually desync the combustion from the anti-magic zone if he gets more fireballs, and he is running the Firestarter, so every fireball is 5 extra seconds reduced. There could be maybe a 30-second window where Gelu can go for a kill where there won't be an anti-magic zone on that combustion. That's one of the main win points for Chalky Milkmen. Houston's sitting through a lot of crowd control at the moment. Burley has to make a decision. Does he dispel him and get stunned out of form and then Kleptomania potentially used later on, or does he continue to just run away? It looks like running away is going to be the priority here. Houston using his Gladiator's Medallion to get out of crowd control to deal damage really in that position. It wasn't necessary. So now that the Demon Hunter doesn't have a Gladiator's Medallion, they still have Vendetta. They still have Avenging Wrath. They could activate these 2 powerful cooldowns, catch Houston in the stun far away from Burley, and use Smoke Bomb to line of sight the Shaman's healing. I'm curious if Chalky Milkmen are going to go for that line of play. It would be something that DHDK Nation may not be expecting.
Yeah, I want you to pay attention to something in this matchup if you guys are watching right now. Watch Gelu and watch Burley. Watch how difficult it is for Gelu to actually get on top of Burley. There's a Shimmer, he gets grip back into an Asphyxiate stun. Now's the kidney shot. Burley out of the stun. He's going to be getting out of line of sight as fast as he can. There's big damage actually right now coming in from Chalky Milkmen. Burley has to trade out the Astral Shift, and this is what happened. If Gelu has uptime, they can force out big cooldowns. That's why DHDK Nation, they really have to just force the issue, force Gelu out of line of sight so they can have the opportunity to get in Ghost Wolf, escape, and recover that hit points.
Now, Gelu has Combustion before any Magic Zone for 17 more seconds. If they go immediately on the next stun, they could get Darkness or a kill. Gelu needs to get there, but he gets imprisoned. He actually is going to break out of it, try and get a kill here. Big push. It's going to net them Darkness. That Firestarter build definitely paying off for Gelu. They get the most important defensive cooldown out of the way, and they still have some decent pressure.
Yeah, decent pressure over onto Burley, but that was Gelu's Ice Block. He was sick of being put into prison by Houston, so he used the Ice Block to get out of it, but unfortunately doesn't have that available for quite some time. But DHDK Nation, they're using a lot of their crowd control on Gelu to stop him from doing damage. Instead of going for a little bit more pressure, putting more crowd control onto Clyde, and actually trying to take down Gelu, they're just trying to live as long as possible. Burley now into a kidney shot, into a stun. Hammer of Justice. Is he going to be able to escape? Trying to cross the map. He's running for his life right now. And Gelu just so far away with that Death Knight once again. Joel doing an excellent job, making it a nightmare for Gelu in the situation. If we look at mana right now, Burley on that Restoration Shaman. Basically, if you're a Restoration Shaman and you're being tunneled down like this, your only healing essentially comes from Ghost Wolf, and that is not a very expensive heal. So at this point in the game, with Burley only healing himself with Ghost Wolf, he's essentially using no mana, whereas Clyde is going to tax him a little bit more to keep Ratcher and Gelu alive through this Demon Hunter Death Knight damage.
Burley was anticipating a stun there, activating the Earthen Wall Totem, but Ratcher held onto the stun, so now he can attack Burley without that defense available. Gelu's trying to make his way over using that Dragon's Breath, and then the Escape Artist to get in line of sight, but Houston was waiting for him around the corner with a stun. Gelu's still trying to get to the Shaman. Burley trying to get as far away as possible. Here comes the stun Vendetta. What cooldowns are they going to trade here? It's a big hit. They do manage to get the reverse magic on the Hammer of Justice, allowing Burley to activate the Astral Shift, but they're going to use any magic zone anyway, as it is Vendetta and Combustion. 2 powerful cooldowns from the Mage and the Rogue, respectively, as they continue to push forward, but unlikely before dampening to kill Burley inside of that Ghost Wolf. They're definitely going to be waiting for the Kidney Shot, Hammer of Justice, Silence, Kleptomania, remove the Ghost Wolf, try and 100-0 the Shaman, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat, until it works, or until we're deep into dampening, and then the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter become a target for the team of the Chalky Milkmen. Right now, they're going for the all-in. Burley's going to respect it, use the Trinket and Spirit Link Totem, but the Trinket and Spirit Link Totem wasn't during Combustion, it wasn't during Vendetta, it really wasn't during any cooldown, so I would say now Burley is susceptible to that play we saw in Game 1 of being blinded. In the meantime, Gelu being pressured, finally some good damage here from the DHDK Nation. Clyde's going to respect that push, use his Blessing of Sacrifice to stop damage on Gelu, redirect it to himself, which is a lot easier to heal considering the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter are nowhere near him. So Clyde will deny that assault with those cooldowns traded. Burley's in the blind. This is the strategy that I was anticipating, but Ratcher is having a difficult time connecting as he is snared and stunned, so he opts to go for Sap out of blind, then connect. Joel pre-anti-magic shields the incoming stun. Joel not using that anti-magic shield aggressively, instead using it to anticipate a swap. They saw that situation in Game 1, and now in Game 2 they were more than prepared for it.
Yep, and Joel essentially takes 0 damage because of it. That anti-magic shell is going to be really powerful against this particular composition. Chalky Milkman is running. Clyde down to around 50% mana at this point. Dampening has just kicked in. We're at 3%. Gelu has his Combustion rotated back up. He's spamming out a lot of fireballs in this game. We talked about Firestarter, that talent for the Fire Mage. He's able to get that Combustion cooldown reduced by 5 seconds every single time he uses a fireball, and that sort of desyncs that offensive cooldown with some of the defensive cooldowns that DHDK Nation has available. Now Burley, he's going to be taking a huge hit, but that was both Shimmers from Gelu. He's stuck now. He can't get back to Burley. Burley's going to be crossing the map, and he's going to easily be able to stabilize in this situation. I think Joel of Houston, they're doing a great job defensively so far, but maybe they need to focus more efforts on Gelu. It seems like they're trying to get Clyde out of mana just by, you know, attacking Gelu, attacking Retro, not really setting up too many kill windows for themselves. All this CC, like I said, is just being put on Gelu. So defensively, they're playing pretty well, but offensively, they're not really setting anything up.
I even think the crowd control could be placed better defensively. They're using it before Burley is stunned. I mean, this is the only time where Burley can die. This is where they need to crowd control either the Rogue or the Mage. Burley's in a lot of trouble, barely holding on with the Gladiator Safeguard Shield procced, absorbing some hits inside of that anti-magic zone, but now Burley has to run. Will Gelu be able to keep up the chase? Unlikely. Ratcher just desperately waiting for Kidney Shot to come off cooldown to go for another attack with that Kleptomania as soon as possible, having Burley as low health as they can before going for the attack, as this is likely to put the most pressure and force more defensive cooldowns or a kill, but Burley is fully recovered. Now anticipating a Kidney Shot, activates the Earthen Wall Totem before it, but Ratcher is going to hold on to it, wait for its defense to fade before engaging with the Kidney Shot. Chalky Milkmen have to 100-0 Burley, at least before dampening. They 100% have to 100-0 him in these stun locks. Ratcher getting gripped into a stun during the stun means that Burley is probably not going to die, so he escapes away, although using his Gladiator's Medallion. Very important cooldown for the Chalky Milkmen, even though they don't get a kill. Now we see a Hex casted. Gelu needs to decurse that as soon as possible, which he does, and then stabilizes the team immediately. Burley repositioning away from Ratcher and Gelu. We're now at 15% dampening, and I'm trying to see potential for switching targets. It's a bit strange to me that they haven't tried to kill Houston at any point. He's running that Nether Walk instead of the Soul Rending. He doesn't have that much healing. They could actually potentially at least rot him down a bit by applying some Ruptures from the Assassination Rogue and sort of whittle his health potentially and then switch later on. Instead, still just going for the Shaman. Next Kidney Shot could be lethal if they properly cross crowd control the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter. Clyde's getting in position to stun out of the stun. Actually stunning the Demon Hunter.
No.
Big push there. And now Houston's Gladiator's Medallion's out of the way. Smoke Bomb still available. Vendetta up in 15 seconds. I would actually like to see a swap to Houston with the next Kidney Shots and use Blind on Burley. I do believe that they would be able to 100-0 the Demon Hunter, but they're under fire at the moment. Clyde seems to be struggling just to deal with the pressure.
Yeah, at this point in dampening, the Death Knight becomes a very viable target. Fell Eruption over onto Gelu. Ultimate Sacrifice going to be coming in from Clyde at this point in the game. Big damage actually on the side of DHDK Nation onto Chalky Milkmen. They're getting bursted down. Ratcher has a Vendetta. It's a very powerful cooldown, like you said. Maybe they want to apply that onto Houston, but Houston's kind of prepared for that all, and if he can survive, he has the Nether Walk, like we kind of talked about. Doesn't have as much self-healing, but he will be able to keep himself alive in that really scary situation that Chalky Milkmen can set up. Joel's still under fire, and Burley really struggling to keep him alive. Anti-Magic Zone gets dropped down at the expense of not many cooldowns. I guess it was a Vendetta. Burley's still in crowd control, and then Joel in a lot of trouble. We need to see a Spiritling Totem if he can get it. Garrote Silence comes in. Anti-Magic Shell from Joel will keep him alive. That was nicely done before the Kidney Shot. Now Burley has an opportunity to keep him nice and healthy, dropping down the Spiritling Totem. That's going to stabilize his team, and they need to start getting aggressive.
This is going to come down to the wire. I think both teams are in a very high-pressure situation with dampening at critical levels at this point. Joel could fall in any Kidney Shots. Smoke Bomb's also available. If there's a counterspell secured onto Burley from Gelu, I think it's going to be game over for DHDK Nation in game number 2 here. Gelu doesn't have counterspell though for 10 more seconds, but he does have Polymorph, catching Burley in crowd control. Joel is isolated. Clyde's in position to get follow-up. They trade Darkness, but the Gladiator's Maledict is absorbing the self-healing from the Death Knight. He's not benefiting too much from the Darkness. Burley's still crowd controlled, finally out, but there's not much defense. Only Riptide. If he gets counterspelled here, it's going to be game over. Burley has to fake it out. He's trying to just use Riptides, but dampening's too high. Riptide isn't going to be enough. Ratcher and Gelu are both right on top of Burley. He's going to activate the Spirit Walker's Grace, providing him immunity to interrupts, but even with those healing surges, Joel is still low on health. Now caught into another full Polymorph. Houston jumps over to remove it. Joel on the run, trying to get to safety. Clyde pushing up. Clyde's actually totally out of mana. DHDK Nation, they're limited on cooldowns, but Chalky Milkmen are limited on mana, and because of this, it's still anyone's game. Ratcher being counter-pressured, very low on health, imprisoned on his evasion. Big moves here by DHDK Nation. If they can keep denying the heals just a bit longer, Joel still being pressured. Ascendant's about to fall for Burley. He's caught into a Ring of Frost. Polymorph on Houston. It's 3-on-1 as a result of Gelu's crowd control. But Joel is still holding on with those death strikes, getting 2 of them while Burley is crowd controlled. Gelu gets stunned before he can go for the last polymorph. Clyde not in position to stun, but Joel is just dying to damage right now. Meteor comes crashing in and is going to close it out. Gelu held on to that counterspell the entire match. Ratcher is still being pressured by Houston. Is he going to go down though? Clyde using the ultimate sacrifice and Divine Shield. Ratcher takes 0 damage effectively, and so does Clyde as a result of that combination of cooldowns. Burley still wants to play it out as the 3 members of the team are so low on health, but with Avenging Wrath and Divine Favor, if Clyde even gets 1 Holy Light on this, he's likely to go back to full health. Ratcher's at full health. Burley's in a poly. This game is over. Chalky Milkmen showing that they've got a solid game plan here, and I feel like they could consistently take games off DHDK Nation if they continue playing like this.
Yeah, they didn't even need the DK delete button now, and well.
Yeah, I mean, things are looking really good here for Chalky Milkmen. There was a few close calls. I think when Gelu committed his Ice Block offensively to break out of crowd control, that should have been a sign for DHDK Nation. They need to play a little bit more aggressive. They're actually going for mana rifts over onto Clyde. That's something we haven't seen too much from Houston in this matchup so far, and it's looking like they want to play a little bit more aggressive, but they have to be careful. Burley's still a very exposed target. Anti-Magic Zone's going to trade out for Combustion. It's a fair trade, but keep in mind, Gelu, with that Fire Starter, he can reset his Combustion much faster than Anti-Magic Zone's cooldown, and he can get 1 off without that being an exact lineup, and that's when they can really burst Burley down.
Yeah, and if they're playing more aggressive, it's more likely that they may slip up. Houston running for mana rifts on the Paladin means that he's going to be separated from Burley, and to be able to use Darkness, you need to be on top of the person that you want to use it on. So separated mana rifting the Paladin and Polymorphs means that Darkness could be taken off of the table. We see Chalky Milkman going for another attack. Burley going to respect it here, use that Gladiator's Medallion. It may have not been necessary as Joel assisted him with the Death Grip, but he's just using that Gladiator's Medallion to respect the Vendetta, trying to go 1 for 1 in terms of that exchange. Gelu finally being pressured. Burley sneaks in a Wind Shear on Clyde's heel, putting Gelu behind. Avenging Wrath pop for Clyde. He's imprisoned on it. If they can get a Cauterize during the Avenging Wrath, that's a big deal. They at least get a Blessing of Sacrifice due to the extra crowd control chain that DHDK Nation initiated, which is 1 extra cooldown that they wouldn't have got otherwise, so well done. Clyde's moving in, looking for the stun out of stun on Burley, but Houston's there to back him up with a triple. Will it be enough to keep Burley alive? Triple Dragon's Breath. There's no Garrote Silence. Ratcher's holding on to the Vanish. Maybe he wants to pair that up with a stronger cooldown push, potentially the Combustion on the next attack. Chalky Milkmen, I would say aggressively, are playing still to the same level as they have the entire series, but due to Houston running that Mana Rift talent this time around, their clock is a lot shorter.
I think it's a really intelligent decision by DHDK. In the last 2 games, they were kind of just playing to live. And sometimes that makes you win, but it definitely wasn't in this case. Chalky Milkman, they were able to exploit the fact that Joel, on that Death Knight, his self-healing is reduced by so much that deep into dampening. If they could just get to that point, they win, and there was not that much pressure coming in from DHDK Nation. So I think here in Game 3, backs against the wall, go more aggressive, and that's exactly what they're doing. Clyde already around 50% mana. If Houston can continuously land these mana rifts, Chalky Milkman, they're not going to have that same sort of time frame we saw in Game 1 and 2.
All right, let's see if the Chalky Milkman can close this game out faster. If not, DHDK Nation may reverse sweep this 3 in a row with this aggressive strategy, or at least force the Chalky Milkmen to change healers, because the Paladin is not going to be able to drink without access to stealth like a Druid. Although if they do run the Druid Rogue Mage, they've got the biggest maps in the pools to play on. So they've at least got that going for them if they want to play it out for the rest of the series, because so far this strategy is working a lot better for DHDK Nation. I honestly don't know why you would ever play Demon Hunter Death Knight without Mana Rift. I feel like that is the main reason why this composition can even win games, is it lacks a Mortal Strike. Its damage is pretty lackluster before dampening. The only way that you actually run teams out of mana is by running the moon with Mana Rift. So I would say it was maybe a bit of a mistake by DHDK Nation to not be running that talent up until this game, where they're now on match point. Joel sitting in a Frost Nova. Perhaps Joel should even be running the Gnome, get the Escape Artist to get out of more Frost Novas. Clyde's trying to push forward with the team to get a Hammer of Justice on Burley, but Gelu, he's waiting for Gelu. He's going to use Blessing of Freedom on Gelu. That allows Gelu to freely move across the battlefield, get right on top of Burley. Spellsteal that Ghost Wolf. This is the all-in. We likely see a Vanish. This could be the end of the game if they're not careful. They're going to trade the Anti-Magic Zone and the Spirit Link Totem, even still taking quite a big hit there. That was the all-in by Chalky Milkman. Milkmen. They don't get the kill, they get denied, but they've opened up opportunities for a swap to the Death Knight, but without dampening, I'm not sure if the Chalky Milkmen are even going to take that opportunity right now. They may just continue training the Shaman, focusing on crowd control on the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter until later into the match, but how much later? Clyde's almost already out of mana.
Yeah, I mean, Clyde's not doing well. He's around 20% mana at this point. Houston seems to be moving forward, trying to back up early just a little bit. Gelu looking for some crowd control, and Gelu trinketed out of an asphyxiate stun around 20 seconds ago, but I don't think it was necessarily the best time to use his trinket. He needs to have that available when they go for those offensive pushes onto Burley. That's when he needs to have damage available. Combustion's going to be traded out. Big damage coming in from Gelu. A huge meteor. 3v1 situation. Houston and Joel were just nova far away. Nicely done by Gelu. Can Burley survive? Astral Shift gets traded out. He's in Ghost Wolf. He's trying to run away. Another full blind coming in
out
from
of
Ratcher.
Ghost Wolf.
What is he going to be able to do? If he can land the sap, it's going to be massive. Houston trying to deny it. Fell Eruption. Nicely done. Houston stopping Ratcher from getting that re-stealth, and that sap is what kept Burley alive.
All right, nice play by Houston there, but now he needs to worry about getting aggressive again. He's got a Mana Rift Clyde out so that they can get some pressure going. Joel's been sitting a lot of crowd control at the moment. I'm wondering if he is going to use that anti-magic shield aggressive at some point, and if Chalky Milkmen look to punish it. I feel like before dampening, Joel can definitely use the anti-magic shield however he pleases. And then in dampening, that's when he should start considering the situation. Does Burley have a Gliders Medallion? Do they have Darkness? If not, then probably hold on to it until a later time to survive. Imprison on Ratcher while Burley is stunned. There was no spell steal as Gelu is stunned as well, so Burley takes no damage on that attack. Easy trade for DHDK Nation. Now they'll have cooldowns for Vendetta, which is available on the next stun. Clyde is basically out of mana, and I mean every other game without Mana Rift was, I would say, at maybe 50 or 60% at this point, so there's a significant lead for the DHDK Nation. Chalky Milkmen might be in trouble here. Gelu taking some big hits from Joel, finally getting some counter pressure here on Dalaran Sewers, interrupting Clyde on his heel into a stun, putting him behind. This could be the Cauterize the Ice Block. Once again, good crowd control onto the Paladin, denying his healing. That's them Avenging Wrath and Ice Block. DHDK Nation are playing a solid game this time around, and I mean the difference of just running one different talent means the entire game. This situation was not even remotely close in the first two games, but switching to that Mana Rift and suddenly DHDK Nation are in the driver's seat.
Yeah, but look at this. Clyde is positioned across the entire map. If he's sitting down for a drink, Houston wasted the last 5 minutes of this game, but luckily he's able to dash over in just a second and stop Clyde from recovering any of that mana. Gelu now in a little bit of trouble. Keep in mind he's got no Ice Block. He's playing the Fire Mage, so he has the Cauterize still available, but there's no Ice Block. Clyde actually traded out his Ultimate Sacrifice as well, so he really doesn't have much mana to work with. Using the Ultimate Sacrifice is sort of a preemptive measure, but this is looking really good for DHDK Nation.
All right, DHDK Nation looking like they may be able to at least put one game on the board here in the lower bracket. It's an elimination match, best of 5. Loser of this goes home in 4th place. Chalky Milkmen can't afford that. They have an opportunity here to get into the top 4 because of a poor performance on Wildcard Gaming's part and Change My Mind. Zizon and Chalky Milkmen have the most to benefit in this tournament due to the lack of performance from those two teams. So Chalky Milkmen, they've worked so hard to get to match point, but DHDK Nation, they've just changed one talent, and suddenly this matchup looks exactly as Zico predicted, completely in their favor. So playing this out for another 2 games, I feel like Chalky Milkmen need to make some adaptations. They have made it into a somewhat deeper stage of dampening, so the Death Knight likely is going to become their target here, unless they can get the trinket from Burley, and they do manage to with Blind. So now they have 2 lines. Do they keep crowd controlling Burley and kill the Death Knight, or do they swap? But they're running out of time to go down that line. Gelu taking huge damage. Cauterize is triggered. He's on the run, but Clyde gets interrupted. DHDK Nation, their crowd control was much more on point. Defensive rotation was perfect. And
for Chalky Milkmen, as they look to put the final point on the scoreboard and knock DHDK Nation out of the tournament, it's Mystic on the Retribution Paladin. I can't wait to see what happens next.
The problem with this composition is they have no way to remove Ghost Wolf. So Burley, if they even target Burley, I feel like it's a mistake. And that looks like they want to do it, but Burley's just in Ghost Wolf too far away, so they're going to go back. Now, deeper into dampening with Grapple Weapon and the huge amount of burst damage that the Red Paladin brings, I do see the Death Knight going down. That should be the main priority, in my opinion, of the Chalky Milkmen, is make it to the 20 to 40% dampening mark, try and burst down Joel on the Death Knight, use the Blessing of Wisdom and the multiple disease dispels to reduce the amount of damage you're taking and increase the amount of mana regeneration regeneration that you have. And if you can make it to dampening, or maybe even kill the Death Knight before dampening, depending on how much pressure these classes do together. We don't usually ever see a Retribution Paladin and a Windwalker paired up. This is the first time that we're going to see it. Perhaps they can kill the Death Knight faster than that, but I feel like the Death Knight should be the priority target for them overall. Maybe slow down the Demon Hunter, even split before dampening, have the Windwalker just sit on the Demon Hunter, make it annoying for him to land mana rifts, and then this way you're not stacked up, you're not both taking maximum damage. At the moment, double leg sweep, Hammer of Justice, good crowd control attempt by the Choccy Milkman. Joel taking a beating here. He's tapped on runic power now, so death strikes are going to be limited. They're pushing forward. I mean, the other limitation is that there are effectively no ranged interrupts for the team of the Choccy Milkman, so Burley will get healing wave after healing wave for free outside of those Hammer of Justice windows. Clyde getting gripped into a stun and a mana rift. We see the Earth Elemental from Burley. That's going to be chasing Clyde around the corner, punching him and keeping him in combat, stopping him from drinking. That is the priority for DHDK Nation. Once again, get the Druid out of mana and kill the team before Joel is a target at 20 to 30% dampening.
Yeah, Joel's going to be taking a little bit of damage. It's up to him and Burley to survive. Clyde with the drive-by bash. Houston now looking for a mana rift, unable to find it, unfortunately. The Blessing of Sanctuary coming in clutch for Mystic a few times in this game. You can see under Mystic's nameplate, it's a 45-second cooldown. Whenever that's up, he can use that ability to get Clyde out of a stun, and that's going to free him up from those incoming mana rifts that Houston has. And over the course of a game, with Blessing of Wisdom, that's going to allow Clyde to recover a lot of his mana and avoid those mana rifts, which are really important for DHDK Nation to find in this matchup if they want to get him out of mana. But even still, Clyde is still behind on mana. They're landing the mana rifts, and at this point, I really don't know if Clyde's ever going to be able to drink. I'm not 100% sold on this composition yet.
I'm not sold on it either. I think overall the map, it makes sense on paper what they want to do, but does it actually work is the question, right? I mean, you can theory craft a composition all you want until you're blue in the face, but when it actually comes to executing it out, if you also don't have practice on it, I mean, this could be a case where they've just pulled this out because it works on paper with no prior preparation. They're trying to attack Houston, who is a bit overextended, but for dampening, not really going to be denting him too much. Ring of Peace is stopping Houston from getting to Clyde. Burley's trying to wrap around and get him, but he's in stealth. Houston has Shadow Sight, though. He can see stealth targets. Clyde needs to get away from the Demon Hunter as soon as possible. They need to stop Houston from finding him. Looks like they stopped him for now. Houston's guessing where he is pretty effectively. Clyde's position now, I believe, in the far corner. Ratcher is going to have to trade Touch of Karma for mana. I think that's more than a fair trade. We're not even close to dampening. I do think a full mana bar is worth it. Looks like if they can get away without doing it, it would be fair enough. Mana now even here. Still some potential. I do think around the 20-30% dampening mark that the Red Paladin and the Windwalker are going to start stinging a bit on this Death Knight. It's just a matter of making it to that point.
Well, Clyde was able to recover a lot of his mana, so that's huge for Choccy Milkman, and it really speaks volumes to me. I mean, Choccy Milkman with the Rogue Mage Paladin, they're up 2-1 in this series. They were just one game away from winning, but that adaptation from DHDK Nation must have thrown them for a loop, and now they're going to be relying on this Retribution Paladin, at least in game number 4, on this large map. And I think this large map is good for multiple reasons. I think one of the reasons it's good is large pillars for Clyde to try to kite around to avoid Houston mana rifts as much as possible in this matchup. So on Tolvaron, there's basically two main advantages. It's a very wide open, so that's when, you know, a wizard cleave such as Mage Lock Druid would really be advantageous because you can pull your opponents into the open. The other advantage of this map is there's large pillars that you can get behind and kite around. Mystic getting bursted down, he already had to use his Divine Shield, so that was a big victory for DHDK Nation. That's a long cooldown Mystic's no longer going to have available. They overlapped it with Iron Bark, so DHDK Nation really bringing the heat.
I actually think Clyde is making a mistake running Guardian Affinity. I feel like in this matchup, especially with the classes he has on his team, a Windwalker and a Ret Paladin are never going to let you die. I feel like that's almost certainly not going to be the win condition. Feral Affinity would just let him move around the map faster. He'd be able to do the re-stealth stun cyclones on the Demon Hunter, get away, and be able to drink. The Feral Affinity is just better suited for that. Clyde is trying to go for the ultimate survival build by running the Guardian Affinity, but I'm not sold on it being the best option. Also running the Thorns. I mean, it makes sense. You want to be running Thorns. There's 2 melee attackers on the opposing team, but it's 2 melee attackers that really don't care about Thorns. They're going to heal themselves through it. So maybe use Thorns, but don't press it until deep into dampening because it's an expensive spell. Whereas in Deep into Dampening, when the healing is reduced, it may actually have some effectiveness. So Clyde should be managing those thorns later into the match. Chalky Milkmen at this point, having experimented with their crowd control and their burst, probably already have found out this Death Knight isn't going to be going down before much deeper into Dampening. So start conserving mana, start playing for the late game, try to go for that all-in, close the series out 3-1 and advance in the lower bracket. If they can play conservatively, make it to that point. Certainly, I think this composition has the capability. The only thing that they're really lacking, and I already pointed out, is ranged interrupts. So Deep in Dampening, normally the Shaman would struggle because he has to cast heals to save his Death Knight, but there's no interrupts to stop those casted heals, so it's actually not that hard for the Shaman to heal through the pressure in this specific matchup. He's going to need to be crowd controlled, something like a Hammer of Justice, which Mystic is already engaging with, then a Paralysis, and maybe even a Cyclone, but Clyde is actually not even running the Cyclone honor talent, so there are not going to be any Cyclones or extra crowd control. The other downside here for Chalky Milkman is that the Rep Paladin self-healing gets reduced, as well as the Windwalkers over time. So it's not only the Death Knight that becomes more vulnerable. The Rep Paladin and the Windwalker do as well increasingly. Mana still in favor of Burley and DHDK Nation. I would still say that the game is in their favor at the moment, unless Clyde is able to find a drink.
Yeah, this is going to be one of those moments where if Chalky Milkmen win this game, we're going to be calling them geniuses, and if they lose this game, we're going to be saying they absolutely threw. And I feel like Ratcher revealing that he can play Windwalker Monk leaves Chalky Milkmen with lots of solid options. I mean, we know Gelu plays the Frost Mage. Frost Mage Windwalker Restoration Druid is a great matchup into what DHDK Nation has available, so that might have been a better option for them, but we'll have to see. If Chalky Milkmen can pull this off, they will be winning this series, like we kind of mentioned. Joel on that Death Knight is going to be very vulnerable to the damage Mystic and Ratcher can put out, especially when he's not able to Death Strike himself as much. Dampening is just a huge nuisance, basically, to what DHDK Nation has. The Restoration Shaman, later on in Dampening, his healing isn't that great. Neither is the Death Knight's going to be, and that's when Mystic and Ratcher can really start putting in work.
What do you think of the honor talent for Ratcher running Alpha Tiger instead of something like Grapple Weapon? Do you think it's a big deal? I feel like it's a pretty big deal to be dropping the Grapple Weapon when you're fighting two melee classes that rely on attacking to heal, whereas the Alpha Tiger, like, it's a minor increase in damage, but you could just completely remove the mechanic that's stopping you from killing the target with Grapple Weapon.
Yeah, so the thing about Alpha Tiger that's really good, especially when you're on Unholy Death Knight, is you have high uptime with it. You can use your jab on to the ghouls. So you can use it on the ghouls, you can use it on Fuston, you can use it on Burley, you can use it on a totem. And in this particular matchup, Ratcher's going to have really high uptime of the Alpha Tiger, which is essentially a bloodlust for Windwalker Monk. So it is a lot of damage. I kind of agree that Grapple Weapon might be better. What are the other talents that he's running?
Turbo Fist, Expel Harm, or Reverse Harm. I feel like you need those two.
Those two are 100% mandatory. I don't mind the Alpha Tiger, but I do think Grapple Weapon might actually have a little bit more value in this matchup.
Or maybe even Clyde playing a different healer instead of the Druid. Maybe a Mistweaver, a double Monk, something like that, doing all in. I'm not sure. I'm trying to make this composition better than the Chalky Milkmen have crafted it to be here in this specific matchup. They're really on the ropes here. They've gotten deep enough into Dampening where the Death Knight is now a target, but Clyde is out of mana, so he can't use Thorns. He can't really do much at this point. They're going to jump in for crowd control. They're going to try and go for the kill. Touch of Death, Avenging Wrath. This is the big hit. This is where they could use Grapple Weapon, and Joel wouldn't be able to Death Strike. They do manage to get Spirit Link regardless, as well as the Lichborn, so Joel is going for that honor talent, which turns his Icebound Fortitude into a 1-minute cooldown, down from 3 minutes, which means he can more frequently use it, rotate it up with other cooldowns on the team. I think that was a smart decision on Joel's part, as this team is much more burst-oriented, although deeper into Dampening, the sustained damage becomes more relevant. That was a big attack, though, from the Chalky Milkmen. They're showing that they have capabilities of closing this out. Clyde got mana back. This is good signs for the Chalky Milkmen.
I honestly feel like Joel's just going to die. I feel like they have a lot of overwhelming damage. If Mystic and Ratcher have any offensive cooldowns coming back up, I can see Joel falling, but it's Mystic that could be in some trouble. Ironbark, once again, overlapped with the Divine Shield, and that's a really big deal. But unfortunately for DHDK Nation, that was the Earthen Wall totem. There's no Spirit Link. Joel really has no catch-up mechanics. If they go all in with burst damage right now, Chalky Milkman could easily close out the game.
I mean, it's anyone's game at this point. The cooldowns are so limited. Fuston stunned. He can't use Darkness for 1 more second. Big hit there from Mystic. Darkness gets traded. Joel should be... Oh, Ring of Peace is the Darkness. Joel is able to get into it, though. He saved Death's Advance, so he's immune to knockback effects to get into that darkness and stay alive. That was good awareness on his part to hold on to that cooldown, realizing that would be a counter to the darkness and then answering it. Now potentially they have the momentum. There's still a Blessing of Protection though. Mystic can activate that, and with the double Dispel and the diseases, they can also reduce the damage significantly onto Mystic. Burley's trying to pick up Joel, but dampening's pretty high. Next crowd control could close the game out. Clyde gets gripped into a triple stun. Mystic's low on health. He needs to use that Blessing of Protection soon. He is going to use it, and with Ironbark, I think he's going to stabilize. This is where you'd want to use Thorns to counter pressure the Death Knight away from a target that has limited defense in this position, and that's actually Ratcher. Burley in a stun, but Houston ducks over, reverses him out of it. Now Ratcher's low on health, although I don't think going after the Windwalker is the move. I think you switch right back to the Rep Paladin.
This is
Avenging Wrath, Touch of Death available. This is what Chalky Milkmen were playing for. 40% dampening plus all of their cooldowns. There should be absolutely no way that Joel makes it out alive through this damage.
No way.
It's the most amount of damage they can do in the game. The highest point of dampening that they really need to get a kill. Touch of Death explodes, but Ratcher is still being counter pressured. He has Karma though. Karma immediately redirecting the damage to Joel. He has to run. His Shaman's in crowd control, but running is not going to be able to allow him to survive alone.
Joel.
Huge damage. Again, if there was grapple weapon, Joel wouldn't be able to use Death Strike. He would just be dead right now. He's going to die anyway to the pressure. The composition works out. Mystic carrying through with that Retribution Paladin.
It finally worked for him.
Yep, exactly. Mystic.
How happy he was that his team could just focus on Rogue Mage Druid once again. It's been feeling really good for them, and obviously they've been having results. They've been on fire with their offense as well as their defense, and I'm curious to see if Zizon has made any adaptations. We're kind of talking about Drainer with that Feral Affinity playing really aggressive, big improvements from last week, and that could be the extra bit of spice that they need to take down Method Black.
So there's basically four with Chalky Milkmen Rogue Mage teams that we have to consider as who is actually the best in Europe at it. I feel like clearly right now it has to be Method Black. They're just the most consistent, and this series could actually solidify that. So yesterday Zizon 3-0 Diabolus, and they couldn't take a game off of them. So if Method Black can make Zizon look easy in this specific matchup, then I would most definitely say that Method Black are currently the best Rogue Mage Druid in Europe.
I mean, there's definitely an argument to be made there. Kidney shot onto Jamie. What is Method Black going to be able to get done? Drainer moves forward. Gets crowd control over onto Chaz. A full bash. Barkskin gets traded out. They're doing it all in. Big damage on Chaz. Another Stunlock comes in. Triple Maledict, War Stomp. But I think Chaz is going to be able to survive just using the Barkskin, using the Shadow Meld in travel form, and he's going to be able to hightail it out of there. Get behind the pillar. He's going to be completely fine. That was a good attempt. Drainer managed to find a full bash, but there's big damage on Raikou. In the meantime, what is Chaz going to be able to do? Ironbark should be enough to deflect the damage. Drainer into a full blind sap. He's actually just sitting it. Drainer playing a little bit greedy there, but I think he's going to get away with it.
Looks like it so far. Ironbark's going to be fading shortly, so they have to interrupt Lightning Lasso to save Raikou from having to use that also precious Ice Block cooldown, the main objective for Zizon when targeting the Mage. Jamie under fire here. Drainer still crowd control, potentially a swap. So Drainer did anticipate himself as the target, likely because he's running that Feral Affinity, so he doesn't want to use his Values Medallion on blind because then he will die in a kidney shot later on. So being able to sit through that blind now allowed him to use it if he needed to in that position, but he didn't actually even need to. Now we'd likely see Drainer go into cat form shortly and start attacking down Raikou and Waz. This is also important to note is Drainer's positioning. Now you might be thinking, why is Drainer standing in the middle of the map? They're attacking him. He shouldn't be in the middle of the map. That's too scary. Well, he's playing with a Destruction Warlock, and if you're a healer playing with a Destruction Warlock, pillars are actually your enemy because the Destruction Warlock needs to be able to cast Fear and Chaos Bolt, and he can't cast them through walls, which is why we did see Drainer playing out in midfield. This is to enable his team to assist him, whereas normally, yeah, you wouldn't want to be out in the open as the healer. But in this case, you actually want to be, and you want your team to help you. So definitely some strategy adaptations here from Zizon. Big attack onto Raikou. Hopefully Ironbark is going to be enough here for Chaz. He would like it to be. It looks like it's going to be. Raikou now switching their attention to Jamie, realizing that Drainer is... They can't stay on Drainer forever because an Elemental Shaman and a Destruction Warlock free casting are just going to own them. So they can't stay on Drainer, but if they don't stay on Drainer, then he's going to be in cat form. And this strategy from Zizon, which is effectively 3 damage dealers, is how they've been beating a lot of the teams in the tournament.
Yeah, well, look at the strategy coming in from Zizon. Normally, when we see this composition played out, it's all about Zizon just surviving, running away, trying to live as long as possible, but they're playing it a lot different. Jamie, Drainer, Mercy, they're just running on top of Method Black. They're not letting them run away. They're just jumping on Raikou, on Chaz, trying to just get as much damage as possible. Method Black has been trying to punish a little bit with damage over on a Drainer, but look, Drainer, he's got his bark skin, he has Iron Bark, he has his Trinket, he's feeling quite healthy. Jamie and Mercy have always been there to back him up. Right now, Chaz is actually sitting down for a drink, and I think that could cost Raikou his Ice Block, and it does. And I mean, you need mana to prolong the game, but trading out Ice Blocks that early on can be a little bit scary for Method Black.
It's kind of interesting after how long World of Warcraft Arena has been around. You would have normally said that the Rogue Mage Druid is on the clock. They need to close the game out, but it's actually now the case, I would say, that the Destruction Warlock, Elemental Shaman, Restoration Druid are the ones that need to rush down the Rogue Mage Druid and end the game before the Assassination Rogue's damage is going to overwhelm one of the targets, being either the Lock or the Shaman. So how things have changed over time. Now Zizon's composition, actually the rush down and the Rogue Mage are the dampeners here in game number 1. Mana is even between the teams so far on Nagrand. Infernal's called in with Lightning Lasso. This is a big power play, but Mercy gets denied. Cycloned up right before he could deal some big damage during that stun lock. It was unfortunate for the Destruction Warlock. Mercy still baiting interrupts with Fear. He's casting Fear over and over, trying to bait interrupts so he can then use Chaos Bolts, which are going to hit for the most amount of damage during Infernals. One Chaos Bolt on Waz. Waz gets rooted in line of sight. If they had a Lightning Lasso or a Bash, they can't Bash. Drainer's polymorphed. This is allowing Waz to stay aggressive onto Jamie. And this is the strategy I wanted to see the Rogue Mages try, is casting more polymorphs on Drainer along with Hibernates. Crowd control Drainer and then target one of the damage dealers. So far it seems like it's building a lot more pressure. Jamie at sub 50% health. Chaz looking for a Cyclone at low health potentially. Jamie's going to use Demonic Gateway to get out of range of it. Good positioning there and awareness, realizing if he's Cycloned at low health, it will be difficult for Drainer to recover later on. Chaz does ultimately get it, buying time for Waz to get back to the target. Chaz still going for Cyclones, wants to switch that over to Drainer as soon as possible. Chaz moves in to go for it, but Jamie stuns him with the Elemental. Jamie still just getting burnt right now. Huge damage, no defense for 6 more seconds. Mercy needs to save him. Drainer's interrupted, he can't heal. Mercy's just trying to go for a kill while Jamie's at sub 10%, but he's not finding the kill. He's now polymorphed on his Dark Soul. Fortunately, Drainer does get a big heal just in the nick of time.
Yeah, it looks like Jamie's going to completely stabilize. That was the most pressure we've seen from Method Black so far in the game. Raikou still hasn't used his Cold Snap, and this is something, it's a really risky maneuver, because if Jamie and Mercy can force him to use the Cold Snap now, that third Ice Block takes such a long time to recover. So I really want to see Jamie and Mercy focus down Raikou, force him to use that Cold Snap in the next minute and 40 seconds, and that's going to delay his third Ice Block for quite some time. I'm not exactly sure why these mages do this, but I think it's just such a risky play.
All right, let's see if the risk pays off here. Method Black, they had an opening, but it slipped away. Now they got a lot of work to do to get to that same point again, and dampening is a lot higher. Mana is even. The teams are evenly matched so far in game number 1, which is saying a lot, because Method Black have been tearing up the European season here, or the European region in the summer season. So if Zizon can pull off a victory against Method Black, I feel like it's almost entirely possible that they can just win this entire cup, which is going to flip the entire scoreboard on its head in terms of point earnings, and Zizon could be a top contender for the summer season overall. And they're the only team really running this composition, the Elemental Shaman, the Destruction Warlock, and the Restoration Druid, and they play it in a way that is not anticipated at all. Like we've been saying, usually this composition is all about run around the pillar, don't die, run around the pillar, don't die, kill the whole team in dampening. But they play with the Feral Affinity and they just run at their opponents, trying to max out their damage. And it's a strategy and play style that I kind of want to play on the ladder, honestly, and it's working out for them against the best teams.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of aggression. Finally, Jamie pressured down a little bit in this matchup. Chaz was able to escape and completely reset his mana. And like you said, the roles of these teams have kind of shifted. Method Black, they're not really on a time limit here. It's Zizon. Eventually, Waz on the Assassination Rogue is going to be able to take down Jamie on the Elemental Shaman if they have enough time. Drainer potentially going for a drink. Right? Actually, no, he's just playing really, really aggressive. He doesn't have a trinket, so there's an all-in attempt here from Raikou and Waz, potentially, if they can get it. And there is the Ice Block coming in from Raikou. We'll have to see. I think he actually had to use his Cold Snap. We'll have to see if he used Cold Snap to get that Ice Block, because, no, okay, good. He was able to get enough time where he's going to have his third Ice Block available now. Let's see what Zizon can get done. We're at 20% dampening. They're all over Method Black. They have a lot of pressure. Raikou at 50% health. Waz at 60% health. Chaz a little bit low as well, and Zizon, this offensive push is paying off for them.
The fact that Drainer isn't going for a drink and he's just sitting in cat form tells me that they need to end the game now, and that's their main point to try and win. They're just going to play aggressive, deal damage, and try and end the game rather than go for drinks. So it's do or die for them because they're going to be tapped shortly if they keep playing this strategy out. Raikou gets counterspelled there by Mercy during his Icy Vein, stopping a lot of damage while Jamie was low on health. Well timed there on Mercy's part. Drainer's out of crowd control, trying to connect some heals, but Thire's Maledicts are absorbing them. Jamie cycloned at low health. This could be game over for Jamie. Vendetta available in 3 more seconds. Any crowd control on Drainer, Jamie's likely to go down. Drainer's going to jump in, try and stun Waz potentially to save Jamie. Doesn't have it. He evasions it. Waz evasions it, then sets up crowd control for the kill. Perfectly played here from Waz. He knew exactly what would shut him down and stopped it prematurely, and now is moving in for the kill, looking to finish off Jamie here at 26% dampening. They're going to do it. They close it out. Beautifully done by Method Black in game 1.
Yeah, really nice crowd control coming in at the end of the game there. See, we've been excited to see their growth. You'll be very happy to see them once again in this week's top 3. Actually, with a top 3 finish here, which they're guaranteed, guys, it means they are for sure going to have more points than Wildcard Gaming and Diabolos. So there's a very good chance they'll end this week with top 2 on points. And I mean, that's fantastic considering this squad only came together in the summer season.
All right. Tap on Jamie. What is Waz going to be able to get done? There's a stun on Raikou, denying the opener. But there's been no opening. Waz, he gets feared up. He hasn't been able to land a stun so far in this game. Mercy, really good denial of the opener from Method Black.
All right, let's see if they can do it and build some momentum with that denial. We're about to find out. Chaz the target here for Zizon. That could be a way to just end the game. If Chaz makes a mistake positionally and gets caught, they could just blast him out in midfield. Certainly an option here. Big attack on Mercy. He's going to respect it with the unending resolve, but this wasn't Vendetta. That wasn't Icy Veins. That's a pretty powerful defensive cooldown to trade when no aggressive ones were used. They also get Drainer Spire's Medallion. That sets up for Drainer to even be a target. Method Black could end the game momentarily with good crowd control. They're engaging it. Method Black could close this out in quick fashion if they get any extra crowd control into Drainer. Chaz is in position. They Demonic Gateway out of the smoke bomb, barely connecting to Mercy's side, but Chaz is moving on top of him. Chaz is trying to close out the crowd control, but gets feared away by Mercy. Drainer needs to make sure he doesn't get cycloned here. He's going to bash Chaz, stall out the cyclone, stall out the crowd control, allow his team to build some momentum potentially onto Waz. Mercy the target this time around. So Method Black once again mixing it up, showing that they not only can play to one strategy, which is another reason why I would say they're one of the best rogue mages in Europe right now, is because they don't just play one strategy against teams. They're always willing to mix it up, and every time that they do, they get high value trades.
Yeah, it's a lot of openings here from Method Black. I feel like going after Mercy is probably the biggest. Bash on Drainer. What is Raikou going to be able to get done? Beautiful denial there by Jamie. Wind Shear on the Ring of Frost. He denies the follow-up polymorph from Raikou with his Thunderstorm. So that was really well played, keeping Drainer free from crowd control. Now Mercy, as a result, isn't going to be taking too much damage. Waz and Raikou still just trying to get some pressure rolling. If they can find crowd control, I think it's likely Raikou's going to pull the trigger with that Icy Veins. Waz, of course, he has the Vendetta rolling up at around 50 seconds, but that lines up with Drainer's Trinket. So I want to see them try to make a push with Icy Veins before Drainer has his Trinket available. Let's have to see if Jamie's able to deny that crowd control. Chaz, you can see he's already positioned far away. He realizes they have the late game advantage. He wants to keep his mana nice and high, just in case he's not able to drink later on.
Yeah, Drainer not playing for the short-ended strategy this time around, but getting caught in a polymorph when Mercy actually doesn't have much defense. If they continue the crowd control and have damage, Mercy could be in trouble. Jamie's going to Thunderstorm Waz.
Yeah, and he manages to get him away. Waz on the floor trying to get a re-stealth. Is he going to reposition over onto Mercy? He does land the kidney shot. Raikou in a good position to follow it up with damage as well. Drainer is in position to help him. Iron Bark should be enough to deny the damage and increase his healing. Mercy gets topped off, and it looks like Zizon completely stabilizes.
All right, Zizon stabilizes throughout that attack, which could have been a scary moment for Mercy. Raikou is now under fire. Chaz denies damage there with Iron Bark, soaking up a huge Earth Shock, but Jamie has more damage with the Lightning Lasso. Waz is going to stall it with a Silence. Now a Polymorph. Great control right now from Method Black in this position. There's no defense. This is actually a scary moment in the game for Mercy. He's going to use that Demonic Gateway. Drainer uses his Gliders Medallion, now blinded on it. Method Black have 10 more seconds to close the game out if they can get on target. Waz is trying to get there. Raikou's moving over, but he doesn't have a Water Elemental. He's trying to resurrect it to maximize his damage output here, but he's being denied quite a long time on its return to the fight. Drainer is still out of line of sight, but Mercy's avoidance along with Jamie's Thunderstorm bought enough time for Drainer to get out of crowd control, make that scary situation a whole lot less intimidating.
Yeah, well, still on Mercy, and I think one of the reasons why Method Black has changed up their strategy is Mercy really was the sort of playmaker for them in game number 1, allowing a Destruction Warlock to free cast Fear and Chaos Bolts. That's when the game gets really scary. So if they can just sit on Mercy, commit the kicks, Waz's interrupt, the kidney shots, and just deny a lot of that incoming crowd control and damage, it's going to allow them to get to that position in the game where it is a little bit later on in dampening, but they could just flat out win at this point. There's a full polymorph on Drainer. Mercy's getting bursted down. He's not using the unending resolve. It could come in way too late, and it does, but I think he should be able to survive. It was overlapped with the Iron Bark from Drainer, so a lot of defense committed there by Zizon. And now, you can see Mercy, he's trying to strike back. Is the Dark Soul rolling? Chaos Bolt gets casted out, but Raikou, easy counterspell, is going to deny that damage. And Mercy is really struggling in this game to build momentum.
All right, let's see if Zizon can build momentum here. Otherwise, Method Black might just 3-0 and advance to the grand finals. Waz in a stun and Chaz's interrupt. This is the opportunity that they needed. Just a little bit more damage, but they don't have it. Now Mercy's in trouble. Very low on health, no defense. Waz sets up for the kill. Method Black on fire right now, but they don't have any follow-up. They can't do it. Drainer's in the blizzard. If they polymorph him, he'll break out. So good positioning on Drainer's part. Now Drainer jumping into the fight with that Feral Affinity, trying to take down Raikou. Chaz gets a big heal. Cyclone's a Warlock. There's going to be nowhere near enough damage to take Raikou down. Both the teams are going to even out, and Chaz realizes that there's no damage output available right now. He's going to try and drink. They don't see it. Drainer, someone needs to stop this. If Chaz gets full mana, that's devastating. Method Black with a big lead on cooldowns, big lead on mana, just big lead in general right now. I mean, this matchup looks totally different than we've seen in the past.
Yeah, Zizon against other rogue mages look like they stand a chance, but against Method Black, it has not been looking good, but they're finding an opportunity potentially here on Chaz. He gets stunned into a follow-up stun. Nicely done by Jamie. Warstomp, second Maledict. That is the Mortal Coil as well. Chaz forced to use Bark Skin, Iron Bark, and Trinket, but it's not too bad. Normally in those situations, it's kind of a disaster situation for the Restoration Druid, but that was all 3 Gladiators Maledicts from Mercy, Jamie, and Drainer. And that next attempt is not going to be that scary.
They get the full polymorph. Drainer gets caught out. There's no defense if they keep the chain going. They're trying to kill Chaz, but Mercy needs help. Iron Bark, oh, if that smoke bomb was 1 second faster, it would have stopped Iron Bark. But it still may not be enough. Chaz gets the Cyclone. Method Black's crowd control is just on point today. Mercy going to be going down here in game number 2. And Method Black, it's so awesome to see them back.
No, but I'm not sure it'll be enough.
I think you just want Zico to say you, if I'm being honest.
If he wants to say me, that's up to him.
You keep bringing it up. You just want to serve him.
We'll do Mages
spike it towards you. Oh, no. What a disaster.
I think
everyone
it's
knows
interesting
you, Ben.
Aw.
All right, it's enough about us. This is about the players, okay?
What about
Drainer
us?
actually won one of the Spring Cups running this Warrior Death Knight composition into Method Black's Rogue Mage. Although things have changed a bit since then, and it is Jamie on Death Knight, not Cervantes. So, and I mean, I have to be honest. I feel like Cervantes is going to be the superior Death Knight in that regard. Not to say that Jamie is totally unserviceable, I think Zico would say, but it's definitely... You don't think there's a big difference between Jamie Death Knight and Cervantes? I hope Cervantes isn't listening.
All right, Chaz uses his Iron Bark onto Raikou, and Raikou, surprisingly, he's not running Temporal Shield. I think that's a little bit scary. I mean, he definitely is going to be the main target in this game, and that's a lot of defense he's going to be lacking in this matchup. But we'll have to see what they can get done. Drainer gets Kidney Shot. Big damage coming in from Method Black. That's going to be the anti-magic zone. Jamie trying to back him up with that defensive cooldown, but is it going to be enough is the question. Raikou getting counter-pressured away just a little bit. Nerd Rage with the Blade Storm. Jamie all over him, but it's Drainer that's still in a little bit of trouble. He's used his Bark Skin, Iron Bark, and his Trinket. The next stun on Drainer is going to be devastating.
All right, let's see if Zizon can survive the next attack. Maybe even just now. Waz engaging with a silence on Drainer. Kidney Shot. He's out of bear form. Big hits here. Raikou gets the Frostbolt. Did he get a Flurry proc? He did. Flurry proc in. Huge burst potential. Potentially the series out of the way here and now if Drainer can't stay alive. Waz's Chains of Ice. He can't make it to the target. He would desperately like to just finish off Drainer, but he's not going to find the kill. Great support from Jamie there. Definitely filling Cervantes' shoes.
You know, have to see what exactly they can get done in this game. There's a full polymorph secured onto Drainer, and now Jamie's in trouble. He's committed all of his defense offensively. Icebound Fortitude comes in, but there's still no anti-magic shell. Cyclone on Drainer. He gets out of the crowd control. Is he going to use the Iron Bark? No. Jamie on the Death Knight's going to be enough to keep himself alive. A few death strikes, and he's going to be just A-okay. Raikou has already used his Icy Veins. A little bit of defense or offense is going to be lacking as they make a swap over onto Chaz. If we look at mana, it looks like Chaz is actually a little bit behind. There's been good pressure this game for Zizon. Yeah, good pressure. This composition showing some signs of life, but at the moment, Jamie actually doesn't have many cooldowns. I'm surprised to see the Death Knight the target. I would have thought that you would, if you're not killing the Druid, you're killing the Warrior. I can't help but feel maybe the Death Knight's better in dampening, but before dampening, I mean, it has to be better to go on the Warrior. You keep him in defensive stance. You can actually kill the Warrior so much easier. I don't understand the targeting right now of going after the Death Knight. They're even committing the Smoke Bomb on the Death Knight. They don't even tickle him. Jamie's just going to walk that off quite easily. Nerd Rage is having a lot of fun in battle stance. I did like targeting Drainer, but I feel like they should be switching their attention to Nerd Rage soon. They do try to go after him. Nerd Rage anticipates a stun and uses Blade Storm, so he can't be stunned there while Drainer's in Polymorph. But they're still going after Jamie. Drainer's polymorphed again. Perhaps they can take him down. He's got anti-magic shield and anti-magic zone and Death Strike. I think he's going to be all right. He's building a lot of runic power. Raikou breaking through that anti-magic shield gives Jamie even more runic power. Munch, 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 munch. Death Strike, Death Strike. Jamie back to full health. Cyclone, but not going to matter too much. The mana is in favor of Zizon, though, which is a bit surprising. I can't help but feel leaving Nerd Rage open this long is a mistake. He's carrying so hard right now with the pressure in battle stance. The Arms Warrior is pretty good when you're not focused down or crowd controlled indefinitely, so they need to start punishing Nerd Rage. He's having way too much fun right now. Raikou getting chopped up. Chaz's mana is being burnt down faster than a candlestick at the moment, and I mean, they're just letting it happen. Yeah, there's been a lot of damage incoming from Zizon in this matchup, and that's normally what we see from the Warrior Death Knight. The only problem is, as a Warrior, you're very susceptible to swaps, and that's what's happening right now. Drainer with a preemptive Iron Bar keeps Nerd Rage alive. Raikou still just trying to kite away the best he can in this matchup, using his Shimmers all defensively, dropping down the Blizzard, trying to limit the uptime of Nerd Rage. Drainer moves forward, gets a little bit of damage onto Raikou. If we look at mana, we'll have to see where Chaz is right now. Looking like he wants to get out of combat and go for a drink, but at the very least, he's just distracting Jamie. Nerd Rage is on a solo mission, but Waz and Raikou, they decide to switch it up. If Jamie's not going to be able to back him up, they go after Drainer and sort of force Jamie off of Chaz, and now Chaz has an opportunity to potentially sneak away and recover some of his mana, but on this map, it's going to be really difficult. All right, Waz low on health. Mana's almost totally tapped, and on hook point, I don't think you're going to be able to find a drink for either team, so this could close out in favor of Method Black or Zizon. The Warrior Death Knight is working out, I would say, a lot better than the Elemental Shaman Warlock. They have pressure on the board. They've actually burned down some mana. They've gotten through some cooldowns throughout the fight, so I do like this composition better. Should Zizon even fall down to the lower bracket, this could be their answer for the Chalky Milkmen as well. Drainer's jumping in to try and get an Ice Block with the Feral Affinity. Waz is getting swapped to by Jamie, and Nerd Rage, big damage. Evasion's going to keep Waz alive, but how much longer? We've just entered Dampening. There's no mana left now for Chaz. He's stunned up. Innervate's a minute away. Drainer has his rolling right now, so he's getting a lot of free healing. Raikou gets bashed. That's going to be an Ice Block. Zizon look like they're keeping themselves alive in the tournament right now. Yeah, Zizon doing a great job, and this is kind of unexpected. I don't think we thought Zizon would be able to win this matchup, but this is a matchup that they've won before. Jamie on the Death Knight holding it down. He's been doing a good job. Waz forced to run away. Nerd Rage putting out a ton of pressure so far in this game as he makes a swap over onto Chaz. Chaz has no mana left. Raikou's trying to back him up. He lands the polymorph onto Nerd Rage, but Zizon is just moments away from closing out this game. Chaz is running on fumes. Waz is getting low. Raikou only has one Ice Block left, and Drainer, he's just playing full-on aggression. Are they going to be able to take down Jamie in the swap? It's a full Hibernate, actually, onto Drainer. It was polymorph, or it was Hibernate and polymorph coming in from Raikou and Drainer, or from Chaz, and Drainer really couldn't get out of the crowd control. Nerd Rage trinketed a Frost Nova. Waz has Smoke Bomb and Vendetta in 10. If they don't kill Nerd Rage with that setup,
I can't help but feel that, like, in this position, the death, it's not deep enough dampening. I don't think Jamie is going to go down. They're out of mana. They're out of time. They have to pick the quickest route to victory. They drop Smoke Bomb. He goes into battle stance. Nerd Rage is just going to kill Waz, and they're almost just letting it happen. He has to Shadow Step to Chaz, but Nerd Rage is just going to close it up. He's playing so aggressive on this warrior, using everything aggressive to get the kill, and he's not being punished at all for it. Trying to spell reflect potential crowd control, stay on target, and finish Waz. Chaz has 0 mana left. Waz has no defense for 20 seconds. What are they going to do? They don't have the smoke bomb anymore. They're in perfect position to do it. Jamie anti-magic zones the incoming attack. Beautiful play from Jamie on that Death Knight. Now Waz is on the back foot. There's no mana. Waz is getting chopped. He's 5 seconds away from evasion. He shadow steps for the water elemental, but Nerd Rage is still just charging him down. Evasion now available. Chaz tops him off with 0 mana left. Innervate was available just in the nick of time. Waz has to press evasion as soon as it's available. Jamie now could be in trouble, dampening at 15%. Drainer's gonna Iron Bark. Nerd Rage still chopping away with the Blade Storm, although I don't think Raikou should be the target. Maybe Nerd Rage is trying to bait Hots to switch over. Nerd Rage just gets the Ice Block on his own. Nerd Rage is single-handedly owning Method Black in terms of pressure right now. Jamie's doing a phenomenal job to stay alive, but Nerd Rage is really getting an opportunity to shine right now on this warrior.
Ooh, Vendetta gets popped out by Waz. Jamie could be in so much trouble. Drainer has no mana, there's no Iron Bark. Jamie's gonna have to keep himself alive. We're at 20% dampening, and this is where things start getting really scary for the Death Knight. Chazzy's sitting down for a drink. He might be able to recover some mana, but Raikou, there's no Ice Block. Chaz has to play catch-up, but he's got no mana to do so. Raikou blinks away. Iron Bark's been committed. What is Raikou going to do in this situation? Drainer just needs to help out with a little bit of damage, and I feel like it's certain Raikou's gonna fall.
Yep, crowd control secured. Chaz has no mana. He's trying to Cyclone and maybe win the game. Drainer he Trinket Iron Barks. Is that going to be enough? We're at 20% dampening. It might not be. Drainer Cyclone. Jamie's in trouble. He needs some runic power now for Death Strike. He's got enough for 1, but he's trying to push for the kill. Jamie could fall at any moment. Raikou as well. Nerd Rage gets the execute. Ooh. Jamie stays alive at 10%. Is he going to be able to hold out? He's Cyclone at low health. Method Black could still kill him. Waz could get chopped up by Nerd Rage. Drainer's in a bash. Waz needs to connect. He has to avoid Death Strike, though, and he has no mechanics to do so. Jamie's line of sighting. He's going to stun Cyclone. Waz is going to get finished by Nerd Rage. And that was some hard carry on offense by Nerd Rage here. Won the game. They don't get to pick the map, and they don't know what composition Method Black are going to play. So if they pick that warrior, Method Black can pick the most ultimate counter possible to it. And there are a lot of them. So Zizon can't play their warrior Death Knight blind into Method Black. They'll just get blown out by a different composition. However, when they know the Rogue Mage is coming their way, you most certainly will expect to see Nerd Rage now when Zizon is meeting these Rogue Mage Druids. However, they're going to have to overcome the disadvantage with the Elemental Shaman Warlock Druid matchup. Zico seems to think that the best way for them to do that is to target down Chaz on the healer. I do agree. I think, especially if Chaz is running the Feral Affinity, that he is going to take a lot of damage on Ashamane's Fall with a lot of open space. You can catch Chaz in bad positions and just blow him up. So this is definitely a strategy they should consider. They have employed in the past, and now it's just a matter of finding that opportunity and seizing it when it arises.
Yeah. Good damage over onto Waz. Lightning Lasso attempt on Jamie. We'll have to see how aggressive Zizon's going to play in this matchup. I feel like for Method Black, when we saw them play on Dalaran Sewers, it was a lot better for them to go after Mercy, keep the stun locks, keep the kidney shots onto him, and you can force him in a very defensive situation where he's not able to get out those consistent fears or chaos bolts, which quite frankly was what was allowing Zizon to get so much momentum onto Grand Arena when we saw them go head-to-head in Game 1.
All right, let's see how much pressure they can get. Drainer sitting through blind. Easy peasy for Drainer to sit through that, having activated Iron Bark prior to the crowd control. So now he removes the option of switching to him from the table. Method Black are playing defensive and trying to consider who they want to go after. Drainer is not going to give them any time to think, jumping right on top of Method Black, showing some confidence there on that Restoration Druid, adding in some extra damage. Big burst here onto Raikou. Chaz struggling a bit, spending an extraordinary amount of mana so far from Chaz initially. Potentially Zizon can bank a win off of that, but in the meantime, Method Black are counterattacking. They've crowd controlled all 3 members of the team of Zizon. Jamie is alone. How is he going to do? Home alone on Ashamane's Fall. He's still crowd control on Drainer, managing to hold out for now. Big and Venom, double Mortal Coil from Mercy, denies the reconnect. Now Drainer out of crowd control, likely to be able to pick up Jamie here shortly with Iron Bark's defense activated. Jamie going after Chaz a lot more with the Lightning Lasso, but counterspelled by Raikou. Jamie's still under fire. They set up for a polymorph out of the cheap shot. not available, unfortunately, possibly still on diminishing return. Drainer needs to dodge Polymorph. He can't afford to get caught into a Polymorph right now. I'm keeping my eyes on Raikou. He can't get in line of sight. He blinks over. Is Raikou going to go for the Polymorph? Goes for a Frost Nova instead. Maybe Drainer getting a restart there, trying to find him. Chaz looks like he wants to drink, and he most certainly needs to. No one's moving over to stop him. Instead, they're just going to try and get an ice block. I think that's the right move. Although Mercy went to stop the drink. I think they could have got an ice block if Mercy didn't go and try and stop the drink. Chaz got the mana back anyway, so seems like a miscommunication on Zizon's part, so they don't get an ice block, and Chaz gets mana back, and Method Black keep themselves in the game. Yeah, it felt like Zizon was a little bit uncoordinated in that situation. Unfortunately for them, Raiku's still going to be able to hold on to that critical defensive cooldown. Double Mortal Coil comes in, and in this game, Mercy's had a lot more control. He's been able to get out fears. He's been able to deny Raikou a lot on the follow-up crowd control. Raikou gets a nice interrupt on Mercy. All three members from Method Black behind the pillar. They're looking for crowd control on Drainer. They might actually go after Drainer. I think Waz put a Rupture on him, so they might try to make an opportunity there with a kidney shot if they can find it, but it looks like Jamie's still the primary target for Method Black. Raikou trying to get a Polymorph. Can he sneak it in? Drainer denies with the travel form. Chaz in a prime position to land a Cyclone on Jamie, slow down any additional healing, and that gives them an opportunity to start setting up crowd control onto Drainer, but they really haven't been able to find it this game. There's a full blind coming in from Wall Street. No Drainer. He likes to sit these blinds. He knows Method Black wants to try to make an opportunity on him, so they're not giving up that trinket quite so easily. Yep, they know that Drainer is a possible swap target. I would like to see Chaz targeted more. He actually is right now. 2 Chaos Bolts from Mercy. Mortal Coil on Raikou, almost it was defensively to try and save Jamie. Waz is still dishing out a lot of damage, but Drainer's not crowd controlled, so quick Swift Men. Jamie's going to be fully recovered. Mana is even at this point, not what you want to see if you're Zizon. Big push here on Raikou, bashed up by Drainer. Iron Bark going to deny this assault, though, from Chaz, although he is expending a lot more mana than any of the previous games we've seen so far. Chaz gets Spell Lock. Mercy is playing a lot more aggressive as well with the interrupts, not using them to stop crowd control, but rather using them to prevent heals from Chaz, using the Infernals aggressively as well. Zizon are playing this matchup a lot differently. They're not using these to counter-engage when Method Black pushes. Instead, they're trying to lead the charge, but if they lead the charge and don't get the kill, Method Black can then safely walk all over them a few moments later, as they are in this position, immediately getting Astral Shift from Jamie. Drainer drops out of the poly, but Chaz gets follow-up. Jamie on the run, Waz on top of him. Waz trying to interrupt 2 players at the same time, silencing Mercy and Jamie. Jamie still alone. He uses Grounding Totem to stop the 3rd Cyclone, but they snipe it. They go for the 3rd, they get it. They need Polymorphs. If Raikou gets a Polymorph here, it could be game over. Drainer definitely needs to avoid that at all costs. Raikou is feared by Mercy, giving Drainer time to heal. Jamie is stabilized. Drainer's trying to get aggressive, potentially go after Chaz. Chaz is already softened up and low on health. Waz, though, is the target with Lightning Lasso. Those 2 members at sub 50% health. Chaz spending a lot of mana to heal 2 targets. I do like Zizon playing a lot more bouncy in this game rather than strictly hitting 1 target. They're just committing damage to whoever they can, whenever they can, maxing it out, and that is forcing Chaz to expend more mana and potentially creating a win condition for them.
Kidney shot on Jamie. This is the Innervate from Drainer. He's getting full use of it. That was really well timed, allowing him to get significant healing out onto Jamie. And now it's Raikou who's on the back foot. Drainer getting really aggressive with that Feral Affinity Cat form. We kind of talked about it at the beginning of this matchup. This is going to be a really important part for Zizon. Drainer has to get aggressive with that Feral Affinity Cat form to help his team with damage. They forced out an Ice Block from Raikou. It's a big deal. He's only got 1 left. They can continue this push. We're at 8% dampening. We're getting close to the territory where Method Black just starts developing a massive lead with how defensive Jamie and Drainer have to start being. And all of a sudden, Drainer can't afford to be playing aggressive with that Feral Affinity. So Zizon, they have to make a defensive push. They need to get that 2nd Ice Block out of the way, and they need to do it quick.
All right, can they get the cooldowns out of the way? Can they put a point on the board and take it all the way to game 5? Zizon are showing signs of life, but Method Black's crowd control is still relentless. Can they keep it going? No, they can't. Drainer's out of the chain. He's getting heals going. He's actually behind on mana, though. Mana could be a factor. That Assassination Rogue is a ticking time bomb to kill the target in dampening, so dampening paying favors to both teams in that regard. Chaz the target finally here for Zizon. No Barkskin. Drainer wants to get aggressive, but Jamie's under fire, so Drainer has to do a good job weaving in and out of cat form and healing Jamie at the same time, as well as avoiding crowd control, as well as predicting swaps to himself. I would say that Drainer is probably the most stressed player in the game in this specific matchup. He has to keep track of maybe 3 or 4 things at any given moment in time, and if he is able to maximize all of those at the same time, I think Zizon can win, but if he makes one mistake, the game is over.
Raku looking for a Ring of Frost, gets denied, unfortunately, not able to find the crowd control on Drainer. That would have been a big moment. Drainer is able to connect the Iron Bark, and Jamie survives. 16% dampening. Good pressure here onto Raikou. This is what we want to see from Zizon. Are they going to be able to force out the Ice Block is the question. Raikou just out of line of sight, trying to avoid damage. He's paired up with Chaz. Drainer moves in, actually manages to find a little bit of damage of his own to really pressure back Raikou. If you look at mana, I think Drainer's way ahead at this point. Chaz is kind of struggling. He's actually relatively even, but I think it's Chaz that might have to sit down for a drink.
All right, let's see who gets the drink here. Dampening is at critical mass. This game could end at any moment. Jamie gets Cycloned at incredibly low health, so Drainer can't heal through Cyclone. If Method Black can crowd control Drainer before he can heal Jamie, it could be the end of the game. Infernals get called in to stop the Cyclone. Mercy Mortal Coil's 2 members away, but Drainer gets interrupted. He did cast Iron Bark before being interrupted, so he has some defense. That is a smart play as a healer. Activate your defensive cooldown and then just eat the interrupt for free. Let the defensive cooldown carry you while you're interrupted. Bit of an overlap here, bit of a mistake, but it might have been a forced mistake. Drainer trinketing out of blind and Jamie activating Astral Shift at the same time. Those are pretty much the strongest cooldown options that Zizon have available, and they use them in the same attack, but it lets them get aggressive at least. Maybe they can just end the game. Waz is very low on health and a stun. They don't have enough damage to finish him off, and now Jamie will be in a lot of trouble due to that overlap of cooldowns. Waz right on top of Jamie. Raiku's moving in, but Chaz can't get there. He's feared. It's all up to Mercy. He needs to keep Method Black at bay. He has to stop all the crowd control, but he can't. He's cycloned. Drainer's going to Iron Bark this attack, but as soon as Iron Bark's over, Vendetta is ready and waiting to pop. Waz looking to pop off here in Game 4 and take the series 3-1. I don't think Jamie makes it out alive here, Ven.
I think it's unlikely at this point. Drainer, no Trinket, no Iron Bark. Jamie, no Trinket, no Astral Shift. One more setup from Method Black will close out the game. There's Vendetta. Raikou almost has his Icy Veins. Everything in favor of Method Black. They just need one good setup. Jamie with a Lightning Lasso looking to deny Waz just a little bit longer. They're trying to buy some time, but I don't think they can find it. Full Kidney Shot comes in. What is Drainer going to do? Smoke Bomb gets dropped out. Drainer charges in. He's in a full bash. Can Raikou find the Polymorph? He does. This is a nightmare situation for Jamie.
This is a game. Oh, whoa! They break the. Did he summon in an Imp? Mercy summons an Imp pet to dispel the Polymorph, allowing Drainer to use Iron Bark. Some high-level play there on the Warlock to try and pull some victory off here, but he's cycloned at low health and can't be healed during Iron Bark. That Imp dispel is the only reason Jamie's still alive, but it may not even still be enough. Stun locked. While your healer is cycloned, it's almost guaranteed to be a KO. Multiple Gliders, Maledicts. Jamie's on the ropes here, literally on the ropes with a Lightning Lasso to hold out. Counter-aggressing Waz at the same time. Raikou has no ice blocks. If Mercy can get a Chaos Bolt, he could close it out. Either team could fall at this point. Jamie's on the run. Mercy's trying to carry, but he can't get in line of sight. He nether wards the Poly, which stops himself from being Poly, but he heals the Mage back to full. Drainer's still crowd controlled. He trinkets to try and save him, but Frostnova with 1 second out of line of sight. Iron Barks him at 10% health. Mercy just wants to cast a Chaos Bolt and end the game, but can't keep up on that Warlock with the mobility. Jamie's just been running for the better part of 2 minutes at this point. He's got Stormkeeper. He's got 2 big Lightning Bolts in his back pocket. If Waz comes around the corner without a stun, Jamie is going to zap him. He has to be careful. 1 Lightning Bolt into the Lightning Lasso, but he gets bashed. Jamie trinkets, he knocks him into the open for Chaos Bolts. Mercy is finally here, gonna be able to get a Chaos Bolt. He's fake casting the interrupts. He gets stunned, but now they don't have a stun for Jamie. They Frost Nova Jamie, so Waz can catch up. Beautiful adaptation there. Waz is getting full uptime. There's no mana, there's no Iron Bark for 5, and I don't even know how it's possible for Jamie to be alive right now, but he is. Waz could be in trouble if Lightning Lasso comes off cooldown and they crowd control Raikou. Infernals have entered. Waz is stunned. Chaz is totally tapped. Still any team could fall. It's match point. Chaz gets winchered. Jamie hard carrying. They can't stop the lasso. Waz taking a huge hit. Somehow, some way, Chaz keeps Waz alive. I mean, somehow, some way, Drainer keeps Jamie alive now at 40% dampening.
Yeah, Waz with Vendetta, though. Jamie, he may have ran out of time. He still has the Astral Shift. We're at 41% dampening. Both Druids totally tapped. Raikou, he has an Ice Block. Back up. Cheap Shot on Drainer. Kidney Shot on Jamie. Garrote Silence. And Jamie will ultimately fall. He tried so hard. He got so far, but And with Gelu on the Fire Mage, what can they get done? This composition normally is really aggressive, but lately we've seen the Rogue Mage compositions, including Rogue Mage Paladin, being able to bring it into the late game. And then you have the consistent damage of a Fire Mage, the consistent damage of an Assassination Rogue, and sort of the late game potential of a Paladin to stall out the game if you really want to. But Choccy Milkman, they're not afraid to get aggressive early on, looking for an offensive play here on a Jamie. Drainer denies Ratcher with a bash. Good denial by Drainer. Look at how aggressive he's playing in Feral.
Clyde is running Blinding Light, so I think Choccy Milkmen are going to do an all-in kill, try and bait a Trinket with a blind if they don't find it early on. Otherwise, they'll be able to rely on that extra Paladin crowd control. So Clyde won't have a lot of stuns this game, not running the Repentance, but Blinding Light shares diminishing return with Cyclone, and obviously their team doesn't have a Cyclone, so they effectively have 2 of that diminishing return with Blind and Blinding Light from the Rogue and the Paladin. I'm waiting to see when the Choccy Milkmen decide to pull the trigger on that crowd control chain. Right now, they're getting bodied. Zizon's pushing all over them. Clyde waiting in anticipation to engage on that crowd control. Perhaps they're waiting for Drainer to slip up in cat form and feel comfortable before engaging, but they're falling significantly behind the longer that they wait. Drainer jumping in. Clyde gets interrupted. Ratcher in trouble, low on health. Mercy trying to close it with a Chaos Bolt. Goes for the Mortal Coil, fearing Gelu, trying to stop the Greater Pyros. Interrupted by Ratcher. Ratcher wants to go after Drainer. Drainer switches Life Bloom to himself. Clyde wants to move. If they can go with the Avenging Wrath activated, that's going to be a lot of extra damage. They're attacking Drainer. He's in bear form. He's anticipating it. He pre-Iron Barks it. Manages to stay alive throughout the stun. Mercy switched to an Imp, I believe, and dispelled the Hammer of Justice. Beautiful timing by Mercy with this, what do you want to call it, pet control on the Warlock. I've not seen a Warlock switching pets this actively. Usually they pick one or the other for the entire game, but Mercy is switching pets mid-game to try and gain the biggest advantage at any given moment. But this is the blind attempt onto Drainer, and he's looking to try and sit through the crowd control. Jamie with Astral Shift reduced a lot of damage, but it may not be enough on its own. Drainer is still crowd controlled. Jamie's on the run. He's going to use Demonic Gateway. Drainer's going to follow him, and they survive the blind onslaught. Now they don't need to be worried about the Blinding Light. Should it arise in the near future, they will still have a Gliders Medallion to remove it.
Yeah, I think with this particular strategy, with Mercy opting to run the Imp to dispel crowd control, they basically have no choice but to just go after Drainer. They went for the blind play, tried to get some damage rolling on Jamie, but they couldn't even get a Trinket. And with Drainer not in crowd control, I really just don't see how Choccy Milkman at this point of the game can kill Jamie. Greater Power Blast being cast out, that's the one downside for Mercy not playing the Fell Hunter, is he's going to have to deal with those Greater Power Blasts. Now switching up his pet, has the Interrupt available if he needs it. And like we've been talking about, Mercy, he's been making moves. He's really impressed me this tournament.
Yeah, Mercy is certainly stepping into the shoes of, I would even say, legends like Walrix on Warlock, even arguably Chanimal as well. He's definitely looking to be like a top contender, and this is only cup number 2 of this new roster. I can't wait to see them in cups numbers 3 through 6. Drainer, though, in crowd control, and Jamie's very low on health. This is a scary moment for Zizon. They stop the crowd control chain, they get Drainer out, and now he is beginning to stabilize. Mercy's counter-aggressing onto Gallo Baba. What surprises me the most is that the Choccy Milkmen just watched Method Black win with the Rogue Mage Druid. Why would they not just also play Rogue Mage Druid? Perhaps it's just that only Method Black's Rogue Mage Druid can beat them, and if that's the case, then is Method Black the best Rogue Mage Druid in Europe? Choccy Milkmen have a chance to prove whether or not that is true if they can take down Zizon, but I feel like the Rogue Mage Paladin is, unless they play for the Colo strat, an inferior option over the Mage Rogue Druid.
We'll have to see what they can get done. I mean, Choccy Milkmen, they always come in with the game plan. Clyde still hasn't revealed he's playing the Blinding Light. If the Drainer messes up even a little bit, they can really punish. Combustion gets traded out here by Gelu. They're looking to get aggressive on Jamie. Jamie actually gates away. He's across the map. Drainer still in crowd control. Can he connect the Iron Bark? That's the most important thing. Doesn't even go for it. Lightning Lasso going to be used over onto Clyde. They have big damage rolling. Ratcher moves in to back him up with the Garrote Silence. Now still good pressure over onto Jamie. Drainer, his mana relatively even with Clyde at this point. Gelu kind of just a 1v1 with him and Mercy in the midfield, interrupting Mercy on that Fell Hunter. Jamie still in a lot of trouble. Iron Bark has to be used, and Drainer now trades out his Trinket.
All right, Drainer. Now that Blinding Light strategy definitely could pay out for the Choccy Milkmen. I feel like they've been holding on to it pretty much the entire game, waiting for an opportunity to go all in for a kill. Vendetta up in about another minute. Are they going to get to it? Gelu's under fire from Jamie at the pillar. Ratcher swings across, stopping the lightning lasso, holding Jamie in place. Drainer doesn't even seem to care that Jamie's being attacked. Just charging at Gelu, stunning him up. Clyde's moving in for a stun, but gets intercepted by Mercy. If they can prevent Clyde from getting to Drainer just a tad bit longer, it's going to be important. Drainer's going to reposition. Again, it's all about cat and mouse. Although in this case, Clyde is actually the cat and Drainer is the mouse, trying to avoid the Paladin and avoid the Hammer of Justice as long as possible. And that way they can force the Paladin to fall behind. Paladins don't heal basically at all while they're moving across the map, so repositioning a lot. And they can also catch Clyde when he moves in midfield with these fears. I do like the positioning so far from Zizon, and I would say that everything is going according to plan so far for them.
Yeah, but Chalky Milkman, they have the blinding light in their back pocket, and I think that's one thing I've seen them do before. They don't reveal that extra crowd control, so if Drainer just slips up for a minute, all Chalky Milkman need is one good setup. With Vendetta, with Combustion, they can kill Jamie through every single defensive cooldown. Drainer actually getting targeted down as he's playing really aggressive, and I like that Chalky Milkman aren't afraid to play a little bit aggressive onto him. If he's going to push in with that Feral Affinity Cat form, you can really punish, get damage rolling. Ratcher, if he lands a kidney shot, Drainer could be in a lot of trouble, but he backs up before kidney shot's available. And of course, Jamie and Mercy are there to back him up. Fear on Ratcher into a lightning lasso. Big damage potential here for Zizon, but Gelu looking for a Dragon's Breath. He's looking for a greater power blast. Can he find it? And I don't think, I mean, despite his best efforts, I don't think Gelu's gotten a single greater power blast off this game.
Although, if he's running the Colo strat, it's just to tank interrupts so that Clyde can heal and they get to dampening and then overwhelm the Destruction Warlock. They've been attacking Jamie a lot, maybe pre-dampening, that is the right decision, but I think post-dampening, when we're getting close to the 30, the 40% mark, I actually do think they should switch to the Warlock and just overwhelm the team with damage and pressure. Clyde getting set up on here from Zizon. A little bit of a surprise there. I was not anticipating an attack on the Paladin. They actually committed one of their Gladiator's Maledict trinkets, so they don't really even get anything for that. They just lose out on one of their Gladiator Maledicts. I think that was a whiffed attempt at the healer by Zizon. You're going to lose a bit of momentum as a result of that. Stormkeeper's up. Jamie wants to blast somebody. Who is it going to be? It looks like Gelu down to half. Clyde, though, has Avenging Wrath. Drainer knows that situation is getting a little bit too risky, so he's going to reposition far away, try and drink, regenerate mana, extend for a late-game victory. But I'm not sold that they have a late-game victory simply because there's an Assassination Rogue versus a Destruction Warlock, so this could potentially backfire for Zizon.
There's no doubt about it. Drainer was able to escape. He recovered all of his mana, but sometimes the Druid can't even spend his mana fast enough through the damage that the Chalky Milkmen are going to have available. Big potential here for Jamie. This is going to be a lot of damage coming in from Mercy. Drops the Infernals. Dark Soul. Gelu's in a lot of trouble. He's trying to spam out the Polymorph, so reversing the pressure onto Jamie at this point, but Gelu's still under fire. Dragon's Breath on Mercy to slow him down. Can he get in a position to get some damage rolling? Clyde responds with his Avenging Wrath, able to top off his team, completely stabilized despite all the offensive cooldowns Zizon committed and 20% dampening. That really shows you how powerful that cooldown is for the Holy Paladin.
There are big implications for this series. Chalky Milkman currently with 40 points coming into the tournament, Zizon with 60. So the winner of this could pass the other if they get a top performance in a first place finish. They could even potentially overthrow Wildcard Gaming's third position or even change my mind second place position. So this entire bracket at the moment in terms of point standings could be totally changed depending on the victor. Zizon obviously with, I would say, more to lose because they're already ahead on points, but Chalky Milkmen, considering their spring performance, they could have qualified if they didn't make so many roster changes. This time around, they have a second chance to not make that mistake. Hopefully they stay together as a unit, having already accumulated so many points, even with just a third place finish, should they finish here. Gelu using Shadow Meld on a Chaos Bolt and a Gladiator's Maledict, a 2-for-1 there, but he's still low on health. Jamie's Lightning Lasso doing a bunch of damage. Clyde tries to get a big Holy Light, almost got dispelled on it, but managed to sneak it in. Gelu still taking a ton of damage. It does appear that they want to pressure Mercy, but Jamie is capitalizing on the opportunity to dish out some damage while he is no longer the focus target. Stormkeeper up, Gelu's hexed, Clyde is falling behind. They're going to switch to Clyde once again. Drainer's chasing him down in that Feral Affinity. Jamie Polymorph. Drainer looking like he wants maybe a War Stomp Cyclone. Now caught into a Dragon's Breath, double Dragon's Breath, into a Polymorph, Greater Pyroblast. Desperately here from Gelu, not going to try and go for it. It's too long of a cast time. They get denied on the recast of Polymorph thanks to Lightning Lasso, so Drainer should be able to save Mercy. They're on a bit of a clock here. I don't think they're at high enough dampening to overwhelm Mercy just yet, but Clyde's running out of cooldowns. His team's still very low on health. He needs 3 more seconds, 2 more seconds. He's in a 1-second fear. Maybe a bit of a mistake there from Mercy, putting Clyde on fear diminishing return regardless. Gelu's going to Ice Block. They overlap with Blessing of Sacrifice. Cooldowns are falling apart for Chalky Milkmen. They're choking a little bit before the finish line where they can kill the Warlock and falling apart.
Jamie with a nice Thunderstorm denies the Ring of Frost. They needed that onto Drainer in order to take down Mercy, and now Mercy in a situation where he has every cooldown. Gelu's going to be in a lot of trouble. There's not much defense here for Chalky Milkman. I don't know how Clyde is going to be able to heal through this. Gelu looking for a greater Power Blast, unable to find it. But after this Avenging Wrath for Clyde, this is the moment when Zizon need to push in and get aggressive, because it's almost impossible that Clyde's going to be able to heal through this damage unless they make a big offensive push. Drainer trinkets out. They still haven't used the Blinding Light. I don't think they've revealed it yet. I mean, I could be wrong, but I haven't seen it.
I keep refreshing just to double check, but I'm pretty sure he is running the Blinding Light. Maybe he's forgotten.
No, they might just need 1 Blinding Light. They might just reveal it right at 30, 40% dampening. That's when they make their all-in attempt. Drainer trinketed out of blind, so they have that extended crowd control chain, but Gelu has to hold on. Big damage coming in from Jamie and Mercy. Can Chalky Milkmen survive? They have Vendetta. They have Combustion. They have all the tools they need to take down Mercy. They just have to execute.
All right, can they execute? Can they finish the Chalky Milkmen here in game number 1? They certainly have the pressure. Clyde uses Divine Shield, but they overlap cooldowns earlier. There's really nothing but Holy Light to save him. He catches 1, but needs way more than 1. I think it's going to be done here for Gelu. He's going to get crushed under the weight of Zizon. No openings there for Chalky Milkmen. They don't press Blinding Light. Paralleling the spring season, they took one of the earlier cups with that Death Knight Warrior composition, so that has been a back pocket composition that's worked for them in the past and could work out for them here in this cup. And if they win, that is a huge point gain for them overall to potentially qualify to the summer finals, only in cup number 2, and they're still a new roster. They still have lots of time to improve even beyond the current power level that they are at. Drainer and crowd control. Jamie the target here early on for the Chalky Milkmen. Curious if Clyde is running that Blinding Light or if he's up to switch it out, because considering he didn't even press it 1 time in that last game, and he did. He is not running the Blinding Light this time around, which makes me wonder if he forgot.
I mean, that would be quite the blunder if he picked the Blinding Light. Maybe he didn't have it keybound, or maybe just completely forgot about it in this matchup. But definitely unfortunate, but I think the talent choice is going to be a good swap up for them. Gelu taking big damage early on. This is really scary. Ultimate Sacrifice already gets traded out, and Chalky Milkman looks like they've just entered a blender. Zizon doing so much damage. All 3 members low. Clyde trying to play catch up right now with his Avenging Wrath. Does manage to do so, but I have to say that's not a great start for Chalky Milkman.
Not a good start at all, and this is their map pick. This is their comp advantage. If they lose here, I mean, it's pretty much lights out for the rest of the series. I think we're going to see a repeat of Zizon versus Method Black in the grand finals to decide our winners for European Summer Cup number 2. Gelu has control of Drainer, but Ratcher is doing no damage to Jamie. It makes me think that he has switched his build back to the Pack Spirit Azurite traits. No, it doesn't look like he yet. No, he's got 1. I'm double checking 2. He's got 3. He's running that Pack Spirit build again. I mean, it's keeping him alive right now. Lightning Lasso on Gelu. Gelu decides to use Gyre's Medallion to break out of the stun, which means he won't be able to later on. He's definitely going to be a target now for Jamie moving into the future. That Ghost Wolf build, pretty effective so far. Jamie has often switched between the Purge, Dispel, Heal, and the Pack Spirit. This time around opting for the Pack Spirit, having seen that he was the main target. He could get all-in as well from the Rogue Mage Paladin, so it makes sense that he wants to be much more durable. The Rogue Mage Druid is a little bit slower pace of damage, so it may not be necessary for him to run it in that specific matchup. So I do enjoy that he's willing to change up his builds given the matchup being so different. Double stun from Mercy, Fear on Gelu. Big push here, potentially for Zizon, but they're disrupted. Now it's Clyde in a Fear. Gelu's still the target. Jamie trying to build some Maelstrom. He's got 0 right now, so that bar below his health is Maelstrom. When it fills up, he can then use pretty powerhouse spells like Earthshock and do a ton of damage to a target. So right now he's very low on Maelstrom. He's not going to be that much of a threat. Chalky Milkmen are pushing on top of him, realizing that, looking for a kill, but Drainer activates Iron Bark. This reduces damage on the target that's applied to. In this case, Jamie, he's going to be all right. Now Jamie tries to counterattack while he's durable with Lightning Lasso. Gelu uses Counterspell to counter that. And now Jamie is once again on the defensive. Mercy has been left open for some time. I'm curious to see how much he can get done given this freedom. Drainer jumps into the fight, trying to add some extra damage onto Gelu. Clyde gets feared. good usage of this uptime from Mercy. Gelu very low on health. Blessing of Sacrifice from Clyde. Fortunately, this time around, not overlapped with the ice block. You definitely can't afford to make a mistake at this level of arena play, especially when qualifying to the finals is on the line.
I mean, there is a lot on the line. Fear on Gelu. He gets feared up again. Lightning Lasso onto Ratcher. And Choccy Milkman, they've just struggled in this matchup so far to find any sort of damage. It really makes me wonder why they're locking in the Fire Mage, Rogue, Paladin. There always is the potential with this composition that they can just get one crowd control chain that goes their way and get a big all-in attempt onto Jamie. And Jamie running these Azerite traits does kind of limit his offense a little bit. He's not going to be able to play as aggressive. And in the late game, those Pack Spirit Azerite traits, they don't end up helping you that much, especially in dampening. They all get reduced in their effectiveness, and that's when potentially we see Choccy Milkman making a really aggressive push. There has been good damage here for Zizon. If we look at mana, that might be one thing that Choccy Milkman is considering. They can just go after Jamie, consistently run that Kleptomania spell steal, and as long as they can deny drinks, which they're not doing right now, then they could have a mana lead. But if Drainer is able to just sit and drink to full, it's a complete disaster for the Choccy Milkman. Drainer was able to recover around 20% of his mana, and if he's able to escape like that, keep getting out of combat, sitting down to drink, and slowly but surely get his mana back to full, I feel like Choccy Milkman is losing out on a big opportunity.
It is a bit of a disappointment here. Choccy Milkman locking in Hook Point because the greatest strength of the map is supposed to be that you can stop the enemy healer from drinking, but they're not even doing that, not taking advantage of their greatest strength here on Hook Point, which is spelling grim times for their team overall. However, we have seen other teams such as Never Lucky running the Rogue Mage Paladin. If they make it into those deeper stages of dampening, they can just outright kill a Destruction Warlock. So we may see that potentially in the near future should they make it to that late game point. Mercy again switching out his pets for that Imp to dispel Polymorph, then switching back immediately to a Fell Hunter. I will say his pet control on the Warlock to remove crowd control is on point. I'm just going to say it again. I've not seen Warlocks actively switching between their pets. They usually just pick one and play with it the whole game, but he is actively predicting crowd control, anticipating it, switching the pet, dispelling it, switching back to interrupt the next one. It's really top-level Warlock play. I would say almost at the skill cap at this point in terms of defense on it, and he's a newcomer to the tournament scenes here in the Arena World Championship program, and he's certainly getting an opportunity to shine. Drainer in a polymorph, Jamie isolated. He's on the run, but in Ghost Wolf out of line of sight of Gelu, I think that he's going to be all right with that Pack Spirit healing the Spectre Recovery. Gelu needs to try and strip that off, but doesn't look like he's got the spell steal available, so Jamie's Ghost Wolf going to tank out all of that damage. Now Zizon should look to get aggressive. It looks like they want to go after Gelu. How is Clyde going to respond? He activates Avenging Wrath. Big boost to healing, big Holy Light. Gelu's back to full. Now he's trying to lead the charge for the team, interrupting Drainer's heals. Jamie low on health, tries to reposition with the Demonic Gateway. Clyde gets a Hammer of Justice. Ratcher reconnects. Jamie in a lot of trouble. Meteor coming in from above. Jamie trinkets and runs out of the Meteor, avoiding its damage, trying to make it back to Drainer's side so he can catch a couple of heals. Jamie playing excellently when isolated for such an extended period of time.
Wow, you can see the crowd. They're very excited with the plays happening in the game right now. Lots of love for these two teams. Jamie going to be taking some damage still as Choccy Milkman kind of struggling to find momentum, but they have been doing a decent job on Jamie so far. Gelu with good control over onto Mercy. Jamie putting on some counter pressure on the Clyde, and I'm kind of wondering, maybe Clyde's a vulnerable target here for Zizon to try to pressure down a little bit more in this matchup, especially if he's playing really aggressive onto Jamie. That is a potential for them, but I'm not sure if that is necessarily the best strategy. Mercy getting aggressive, Infernal's being dropped out into a beautiful Capacitor Stun. Drainer in cat form, he's getting a lot of damage rolling, and this is this effect that Zizon has when they use all these offensive cooldowns and they pair together that stun lock combo. They really get a lot of damage rolling, but Clyde was actually surprisingly able to heal through it quite easily.
Yeah, Clyde doing a great job for the team, trying to get to that deep dancing stage and overwhelm the Destruction Warlock. That has to be what they're playing for. On Hook Point, they were hoping to stop drinks, avoid the fight, get into deep dampening, overwhelm the Warlock, but they are also being overwhelmed. I will say Zizon's offense is solid on this Destruction Warlock, Elemental Shaman, Druid, potentially enough that they could maybe overcome Method Black in the final should they make it to that point. Bit of a blunder here on the part of the Choccy Milkman. They break their blind. That is a very important crowd control on the Rogue, the most powerful crowd control, in fact, and breaking it means you get absolutely no benefit. That should allow Zizon a lot of breathing room here to run down Choccy Milkman. 2 seconds away from Avenging Wrath, 1 second away. Caught in Immortal Coil. This is probably a Divine Shield if Clyde isn't careful. He's playing a dangerous game, trading out Divine Shield finally here, but that's a powerful cooldown out of the way. Zizon fully capitalizing on that mismanagement of blind. Now, once again, the polymorph being broken out. Drainer reconnects with Jamie around the corner. He should be able to hold on to his Astral Shift as a result. Ratcher stunned, can't really do too much damage. Beautiful defense and flow between offense from Zizon here in this series. I mean, they've improved drastically just in this tournament alone.
I mean, I wonder if Zizon can get to that grand finals, if they're going to be able to give Method Black a run for their money. We'll have to see. Chalky Milkman in a bit of a desperate situation right now. Clyde, his mana's not doing great. Big damage coming in from Mercy. Clyde, he has no Divine Shield. It's going to be a time that Chalky Milkman, they have to make their final push. They're slowly getting whittled down. Jamie, although with that Pack Spirit build, as we kind of talked about later on in Dampening, that build is not nearly as effective. And all Chalky Milkmen need is one good setup. One big burst of damage where they can take Jamie down. And that could be something we see quite shortly. There's a polymorph on the Drainer. Kidney shot on Jamie. Is this going to be the push, Sid?
All right, is this going to be the push? Doesn't look like it. Jamie not even getting scratched. Clyde now very low on mana and interrupted. Ratcher gets Earthquake stunned. Could have got bursted down. That's a bit unlucky there if he had actually gone down to that. Jamie deciding to use an Earthquake, which has a chance to stun a target, a random chance to stun a target. Jamie now and a stun once again, but got into Ghost Wolf. It doesn't look like they have Spell Steal, so Jamie, I actually think he might have just died right there if he wasn't in Ghost Wolf, but now looks to counterattack. Mercy's looking to close the game out, chasing down Clyde. If they can dispel off that Divine Favor, they can't. Mercy gets blinded. We've gone from a blind being broken to a desperation blind now from Chalky Milkman. They just want to make it to 40% dampening and attack the Warlock. That's all they want to do at this point, and that's so blatantly obvious. Just get to 40% dampening, attack the Warlock, do whatever you need to do to make it to that point, but whatever it is that they need to do doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Jamie gates across to where Clyde was trying to escape, casting that Stormkeeper, gets interrupted, fortunately for Clyde, right when his Avenging Wrath came up. Big Holy Light. Clyde stays alive as a result. Lightning Lasso on Ratcher. Ratcher uses Glider's Medallion to get out to stun Jamie and stall the fight. Mana even at this point. Dampening continues to ramp up. Clyde recovers once again, but when Avenging Wrath fades, he will be susceptible to being swapped to.
Yeah, we'll have to see if they take advantage of that swap. Drainer throws out the Iron Bark. Jamie does manage to survive because of that, but it fades, and now he's a vulnerable target. He still has the Astral Shift. Is he going to be able to get it out? Gelu and Ratcher, they have a big offensive push here. Vendetta Combustion available. They have to make something happen now. Hammer of Justice into a polymorph on the Drainer. Mercy spams out the fears. He's trying to keep him alive. Jamie running for his life, trying to just heal up the best he can, but he could just fall. This is Vendetta. A lot of damage for Ratcher. Gelu moves in. He's still not using the combustion. He's waiting. He's saving it. I can't help but feel like it might have been a good moment. They had the crowd control on Drainer. It was partnered with the Vendetta, and they weren't even able to get out the Astral Shift or the Iron Bark, and now things are not looking good for Chalky Milkman.
I think they have to attack the Warlock. We're at 40% dampening, but Clyde's getting swapped to. He doesn't have much cooldowns. He could get soloed by Jamie in a Lightning Lasso if he's not careful. Jamie's still the target, but taking basically 0 damage here during that Meteor Combustion attack. That is unfortunate. Iron Bark activated, although maybe at 40% damage, it doesn't matter. Mercy's trying to snipe Clyde at the same time, trying to fear Gelu.
Oh, no.
Drainer gets interrupted. Things are spiraling out of control. Dampening finally here at 41%, reducing the healing so significantly that neither team really can recover. Gelu's at sub 10%. Cauterize has procced. He's burning down, has to ice block. Clyde needs 20 more seconds to Avenging Wrath. Drainer's going to Trinket blind. Zizon have to close this in 15 seconds. Otherwise, Clyde's team's going to go back to full health. Can they close it? 11 more seconds. Looks like they're actually trying to run away. I don't know if they can afford to. If Ratcher overextends, though, he's going to walk into a bash. Big Gladiator's Maledict. If they can kill him in the stun lock. Big hit under Ratcher. Big overextension, and Zizon moved to match point.
Yep, Zizon with another solid performance.
So many spells. He's getting really high value out of that Warlock, and if Ratcher can just sit on him, kidney shot him, use kick as an interrupt, they can really slow that down. And although it is difficult to get the crowd control onto Jamie, they can do simple setups like this. You kidney shot Mercy, Dragon's Breath Jamie into a sheep, Hodge on Drainer into a Ring of Frost. I mean, I make it sound simple, but that is a setup you can rinse and repeat, and eventually the consistent damage brought in by the Fire Mage and the Assassination Rogue might be enough to take down Mercy, because at this point I'm not even 100% convinced.
I mean, the problem I see is that they're trying to take Colo strat, run around in circles until deep dampening, and kill the Warlock, but they forgot to kill the Warlock part, which I think matters a lot. Perhaps before dampening, Jamie is more susceptible and likely to die, and they can generate more pressure by targeting him, but deeper in dampening, it has to be the Warlock. Every single situation we've seen in these Warlock versus Assassination Rogues, if they get to that deep dampening stage, still have a decent amount of mana and cooldowns, the Warlock gets overwhelmed and falls over. So I want to see Chalky Milkmen take that strategy word for word, not only half of it. If they can, then there's potential to reverse sweep the series back in their favor.
What do you think it is about this particular matchup that isn't, or why Chalky Milkmen aren't wanting to switch back to that Rogue Mage Druid we saw Method Black find success with?
It could just be that they're one of those Rogue Mage Druids that Zizon smacks around.
Are they just worse?
I mean, yes, Zizon has said that there are some Rogue Mage Druids that they just stomp with their Warlock Shaman Druids. So this could be one of them. Clyde getting swapped to. Huge attack from Zizon. Mortal Coil, Mercy looking to get follow-up, interrupted on Fear, but Chaos Bolt now an option. Clyde ducks for cover downstairs, but Mercy's right on top of him. Casting Chaos Bolt's counterspell faked out. Now polyed. That's a bit unfortunate for Mercy. He really wanted to end this, but maybe Jamie can. Drainer jumps in and manages to pull the Divine Shield. So even though Mercy wasn't having the best time with his push, Jamie and Drainer certainly capitalized on the moment.
I mean, you guys kind of mentioned that there are some certain Rogue Mage Druids that Zizon kind of smack around, but on that same token, it seems like Zizon's just kind of smacking around Chalky Milkman, but as I say that, they are making a nice little push. Trainer should trinket out a blind into a full polymorph. Jamie actually on the run at this point. Hammer of Justice. This could be the setup that they need. Ratchet trinkets out a Lightning Lasso. Jamie gets in line of sight of Drainer. I think at this point in the game, Drainer should be able to keep him alive quite easily. The threat is gone. Mercy swats Gelu away with nicely timed Fear that denies a lot of the damage, and now it's Clyde that's in trouble.
All right, Clyde, what are you going to do? Zizon are getting really aggressive, and that's probably because they have 2 games that they can afford to lose, so they're going to go for a riskier strategy by targeting the healer. But if it works out, the series is over, and they advance to the grand finals. If it doesn't, then they can go to their map pick, their comp pick, and set up a better situation for themselves. So in my mind, it's win-win either way here on Dalaran Sewers for Zizon. Can they find the kill on the Clyde? I mean, looking at his cooldowns right now, he is highly susceptible to death at this point in time. They're pinned at the boxes, they're hiding, they're trying to recover, but they're also trying to make it to dampening. That is the main objective here for the Rogue Mage Paladin against Destruction Warlocks. Just make it into dampening, and then the important part, kill the Warlock, not the Shaman,
I thought you were gonna
not the Druid. I kind of thought about leaving it open.
Hey, guessing game.
I didn't want to leave you on the spot, okay? We don't need that extra stress on the desk.
I think I would have been able to figure it out, but maybe not. I could understand why you didn't give me that opportunity. Mercy looking for a Chaos Bolt, managing to find one Drainer and a kidney shot, and now Chalky Milkman, they're trying to reverse the pressure over onto Jamie. They're getting a lot of damage rolling, but it looks like Drainer is able to survive just off of that barf skin. And anytime they go after Drainer, honestly, I'm surprised how well Drainer is dealing with these situations. When he gets pressured down, he doesn't overreact, he doesn't overcommit, he really relies on Jamie and Mercy to back him up, and they always seem to be there when he needs them. Big attempt now onto Jamie. Iron Bark gets traded out by Drainer. Zizon should survive with that. That was a combustion coming in from Gelu. They managed to get off the Iron Bark, but not necessarily the biggest win.
All right, not the biggest win. Mana still even, so no real advantage to either team there as we edge closer and closer to dampening, which will be a double-edged sword. While it does benefit Chalky Milkmen to killing their target, it also benefits Zizon as well. Lightning Lasso onto Gelu. He is now the target. Looks like they've abandoned on trying to kill Clyde at this point. It could be a bit too risky. They want to maybe just mix it up also and try it. Whoa, what was that hit? Big attack onto Gelu. Bursting him down, but they don't panic, they don't overlap, they keep it calm, cool, and collected in that situation. Stormkeeper interrupted, opportunity to try and push Jamie over, but not enough damage. Drainer positioned with Innervate, spamming out regrowths, big heals for free, well timed there, easy recovery. Jamie sitting through a stun lock combo, but isn't even dented. That was a Gladiator's Maledict. Now we see Drainer jumping in. The attack is over. It is now kitty fun time for Drainer. He's going to be getting Rake Bleeds onto 3 targets and ramping up the area of effect pressure for his team. Jamie has Stormkeeper rolling. His Lightning Bolts are going to be blasting, and then Mercy now has Infernals. Is he going to call them in? It would be a triple. He's polyed. He can't, but afterwards he'll be on... He's actually going to trinket out, activate the Infernals. He's clotheslining the crowd control and getting a huge momentum of burst here, potentially. If Clyde is interrupted, it could be game over. He's not going to risk it. He uses Blessing of Sacrifice, but 2 targets are low on health. Clyde is still bashed. They're going to switch to him. A great strategy against that Blessing of Sacrifice as you get a little bit of extra damage on the Paladin as well, but with Avenging Wrath, Clyde's healing is too strong. He is now going to be able to recover. Drainer's trying to stabilize Jamie through Chalky Milk's recovery with Iron Bark, and it looks to be enough. And at this point, mana is still even, and it's too close to call in terms of who's actually going to take it, Vin.
I think Mercy is still running that imp. I don't know why they're not going after him. If you put a kidney shot on Mercy, I don't think he can use the Dispel, so that would be able to shut down Drainer getting out of Polymorph for free consistently in this matchup. I think that's an adaptation we have to see Chalky Milkman make. Jamie, I think he's still playing the defensive Azerite traits. Not an easy target to take down, and Mercy's just been taking control of the game. Double Mortal Coil, now a Fear onto Ratcher. What is he going to do now? Looks for a Fear again on Ratcher, completely denying Chalky Milkman, getting out consistent damage. And I really feel like Chalky Milkman at this point of the game, at 10% dampening, they need to start putting some effort onto Mercy, get crowd control on Jamie, get it onto Drainer. I mean, it's easier said than done. But, I mean, they're just consistently going after Jamie, and it's not working.
All right, let's see if Chalky Milkman decide to switch their targets here. We're getting into dampening, and I really would like to see them target the Warlock instead of the Elemental Shaman, at least if they want to stay alive in the tournament. Drainer once again adding huge damage, triple Capacitator Totem there, triple Rain of Fire, the entire team dying at this point in time for the Chalky Milkman. Clyde's trying to power through it with Holy Lights, but it's not really working out. He needs that Avenging Wrath as soon as possible. Fortunately, soon is actually pretty soon for him, 13 seconds away. Jamie being pressured, but now in Ghost Wolf running away while Mercy takes control of the fight with Mortal Coil. Both teams begin to stabilize. Where is Drainer, though, amidst all of this chaos? Is he drinking? I think that he is, and if he gets full mana, that's a big lead for Zizon.
Yep, Zizon completely resetting the fight in terms of mana and defensive cooldowns. They basically have everything. Mercy waiting around a minute for both of his offensives, that big push to come back. Infernals, as well as the Dark Soul. Chalky Milkman in a bit of a dangerous situation. Clyde, his man, is not doing great. He's at around 30% right now. Drainer denies the attack once again with the Iron Bark, but there was no real commitment by Gelu and by Ratcher. Things in this matchup are looking good for Zizon so far, but with this composition, Chalky Milkman, they always have an opportunity to come back. They have a lot of damage at their disposal. The Kleptomania Spellsteal, a huge tool for them to take down any Restoration Druid team, but they're going after Jamie, and it hasn't been working. It didn't work in the first 2 games. I don't know if it's going to work in Game 3. I just don't see the adaptation from Chalky Milkman.
Yep, targeting is still stubborn here for Chalky Milkman. Jamie's ramping up, pushing in for some big burst. How are the Chalky Milkmen going to deal with it? Divine Favor, quick heal from Clyde. They could even target Clyde, but he's got Divine Shield again, so he is unlikely to die. I mean, at this point, all 3 targets have their defensive, so anyone is a target. They defensively blind. Again, Chalky Milkmen are just trying to stall, but I think they're stalling to kill the wrong target. We see Polymorph dispelled by the Imp. They're just letting that go unpunished. Drainer gets out of crowd control for free. Iron Bark is more than enough to survive that attack. They have Astral Shift for the cooldowns, although maybe at 24% dampening, they could overwhelm through the Astral Shift. They put Jamie on stun diminishing return. I can't help but feel that that was maybe a slight mistake on Ratcher's part. They're actually using the kidney shots on Mercy now, but attacking Jamie, I'm not sure what's going on with the Chalky Milkmen right now. It's so obvious that they want to play for the dampening strategy, but it doesn't seem obvious that they know what target is going to be the best for them. They still feel the Shaman is the best, and I mean, perhaps they can kill him, but they're just getting owned right now while Mercy's left open to dispel Polymorphs, left open to just Chaos Bolt and Fear. Big push here with Vendetta Combust, but Jamie once again has Astral Shift. He repositions with Pack Spirit, healing him up while Drainer sits through the crowd control. Drainer can use the Gateway to get back if he needs to. He's going to use Wild Charge. Ratcher has to use Cloak of Shadows as he overextended, didn't get the kill, had to trade his most vital defensive cooldown to push for nothing. I mean, maybe in the next stun they kill him, but if they don't kill him in the next one, I'm pretty sure Zizon walk away with this.
Yeah, Mercy just waiting once again for that big push with the Infernals, with the Dark Soul, and once that's available, I don't know what Chalky Milkman is really going to be able to do. Clyde has to save his Avenging Wrath. Luckily, it lines up quite nicely. All 3 members of the Chalky Milkman behind the pillar, but there's no clear opening. There's no clear win condition at this point. They're going after Mercy, and maybe this is the surprise effect that they needed. Chalky Milkman has done this in the past, where they hide their main strategy, their main intention for a long period of time in the game. And now, at a point like this, potentially the point of no return, this is when they can start executing on that strategy. They can go after Mercy and Drainer and Jamie that might not be prepared for it, and they could catch them potentially off guard, but doesn't look like that's what they're going to be doing. Once again, committing a kidney shot onto Jamie. Drainer into a full Hammer of Justice, but Mercy is able to just free cast Fears. He denies Gelu any crowd control. And I think Jamie's going to be just fine.
Yeah, Jamie's recovering. His cooldowns are rotating back up and available, whereas Ratcher's aren't. Clyde has a little bit left in the tank, though. But if he gets crowd controlled, he won't be able to heal, so he needs to be a bit careful. They're still posted up at the pillar. We're now getting closer to 40% dampening. With Jamie's defense rotated back up and available, there's no way. Stop attacking the Shaman. Attack the Warlock at this point. All three targets are basically at the same point in terms of cooldowns. So it's the same amount of time required to kill no matter who you target, but the Warlock is just more likely to die than anyone. But they keep going after the Shaman. They catch him in a smoke bomb. Drainer gets blinded as he runs in, but he got Iron Bark connected prior to the smoke bomb, so this Iron Bark is stabilizing Jamie. He gets caught in a polymorph, but Mercy's there to dispel it. They do Hammer of Justice to dispel. Clutch play by Clyde. Perhaps it's enough to take down Jamie. Vendetta's activated. Where's the Astral Shift? They're trying to hold on to it, but I mean, at 40% dampening, I don't know if you can just afford to hold on to it. Looks like you can. Jamie running away. That Pack Spirit, super effective. Drainer now finally out of crowd control. Maybe they don't need to. If they can get away with it, it's a big lead, and they'll be able to push Chalky Milkman around. It looks like they're going to get away without having to use the Astral Shift. Now I want to see Zizon just stand on top of them. 41% dampening. Close it out. A minute away from the Avenging Wrath. Dispel off the Ring of Frost. They can't. Mercy gets polyed. Actually, you still can. Okay. Drainer gets dispelled out of it. Now they Kidney Shot Drainer. They swap. This could be a big swap. They're dropping the Meteor. Dropping it in huge damage, but nope, not going to be able to kill him through Bark Skin. Ratcher low, Gelubaba low, Clyde low, Mana low, everything low. The only thing that isn't low is dampening at this point in the game, and that's only going to be benefiting Zizon even further as they look to close out match point here shortly. Gelu holds on with Ice Block for his final stand. Clyde holds out for Divine Shield on his last stand. Ratcher still has Cloak at least in the bank. If they're desperate to kill somebody, they're going to be going after Drainer. He anticipated this attack, though, has Iron Bark already active on himself, and because he anticipated it, he's able to weather the storm and stay alive. Now his team can start walking all over Gelubaba. Big damage here. Blessing of Sacrifice in the nick of time, but now
Drainer's in trouble.
Clyde. Drainer needs to be careful. He's spending a lot of time on top of the Chalky Milkman. He's going to gateway to safety. Clyde has Avenging Wrath, though. I think he's actually going to be able to stabilize here shortly, even despite the 48% dampening. If Clyde manages to stabilize, Drainer could be in trouble. I still can't help but feel this. Why aren't you targeting the Warlock? It's almost 50% dampening now.
I really have no idea. They're going after Jamie. Once again, he has the Astral Shift. What is he going to do? He has the Gateway also. Jamie's just going to hightail it out of there. Mercy, he moves in. He's looking to close out the game. Gelu with Combustion, trying to get aggressive, but Jamie's in such a good position to survive. Mercy lends a fear onto Ratcher. Once again, Clyde, Gelu, Ratcher, they're all trying to run. They're all trying to hide. Drainer throws in an Iron Bark onto Jamie to empower his heals. Negate that dampening just a little bit at this point of the game, but Clyde's completely out of mana. So is Drainer. He's committed quite a bit. I don't know what Clyde's going to be able to do. Honestly, at this point, it's anyone's game. Ratcher has Vendetta. They could make a big offensive push. Cloak of Shadow saves them from the Chaos Bolt. They're going after Jamie, but he has the Astral Shift once again. Why aren't they going after Mercy? I don't know why.
This is going to be a triple kill. I actually think we're going to see a triple kill witnessed here against Zizon. The targeting is just totally off here for the Chalky Milkmen. They're finally targeting him, but they're dead. Why did they wait so long? Mercy had a bit of a panic attack, but now he gates to safety. The entire team is dead. Drainer's in cat form here shortly, going to be walking all over him. One bleed for you, one bleed for you. Drainer's having the most fun ever in his life right now. There's still no Avenging Wrath for 30 seconds. There's no more blocks. There's no more cloaks. They're totally tapped out on cooldowns, and here it comes. We're closer and closer to that triple.
They kill Mercy here.
If they kill him here, it's like, what? Why didn't they do it just minutes ago? They're so close to killing him, but they've just run out of time. They're going to go out of the tournament, but they took so long to target the Warlock. They almost killed him.
We saw this matchup play out once in the previous series, and I mean, if this turns out as a victory for Zizon in this matchup consistently, there's a good chance this grand final could go all the way to Game 7.
I mean, it's likely to be the case, but it still has to beat it. I'm not certain if it can. I think that Method Black spent too much time leaving Nerd Rage open, and on Warrior, he just carried the game. They're sapping Jamie, and they're going to start the fight on Nerd Rage this time around. So let's see what Nerd Rage does when he doesn't have as much freedom. Can he carry the team still?
We'll have to see what he can do. Raikou kind of playing an interesting build. I didn't have a chance to talk about it the last time they were in this matchup, but for his max level 100 talent, he's actually playing Thermal Void. This isn't a talent we normally see, but I think Raikou, he wants to be able to just deal with this damage as much as possible. I think if he did go for the Ray of Frost, it's more casted damage, but unfortunately he's being trained down the entire game, so not much of an opportunity. Instead, the Thermal Void is going to increase the duration of his Icy Veins by 10 seconds, and he can also extend his Icy Veins by casting Ice Lance, so you can get really long, 40-second long Icy Veins, where you can play really aggressive on a Jamie on Nerd Rage, and I think it was an intelligent pick. The one thing I'd criticize, though, if Raikou kind of realizes he's not able to get out a lot of damage, I'm not sure why he's playing the Deep Shatter to get additional Frostbolt damage. I think going for something like Temporal Shield would be a lot better. He could survive longer, because it's no surprise Zizon, they have him as the main target.
Nerd Rage running double time, dropping the Storm Bolt to get some extra mobility, trying to capitalize on what is going to be the weakness in this matchup against a Mage. Getting some extra gap closers certainly going to be advantageous to him on the Warrior here, but he's under fire a lot more than on hook point. He is the main focus of Method Black. Very low on health here early on. RMPal from Drainer is holding out, but still quite low. Nerd Rage, is he going to go into battle? He gets stunned. Smoke Bomb. Drainer's trying to get inside of the Smoke Bomb. Chaz is trying to Cyclone him. Drainer denies it, but it's on diminishing return. Nerd Rage has to evacuate. Drainer going to follow him with the Wild Charge. Beautiful coordination there from Drainer and Nerd Rage to escape to safety. Bit of a close call. A lot more pressure this game targeting down the Warrior from Method Black.
Yep, Jamie, I think he actually changed his race. He's playing Night Elf now. So that's an interesting choice by Jamie. He's going to be using that to try to avoid... Is he playing Night Elf? I guess he's playing Night Elf to avoid some of the incoming Maledicts. Raikou going to be taking a little bit of damage right now. We'll have to see what exactly they can get done. It looks like he's going to be playing that Night Elf Death Knight. Zizon right now, they're in a stable position. Method Black seems to be putting a lot more pressure and attention onto Nerd Rage in this matchup. I think it's smart. That's the one thing they didn't do the last time they met in this matchup on hook point, and we really feel like Nerd Rage on the Warrior. I mean, that's one of the main reasons you don't see a Warrior, and people opt to play with a Windwalker Monk instead, is Nerd Rage doesn't really have much self-healing. Doesn't have the Expel Harm or Vivifies, doesn't have Death Strike or Soul Leech, and because of that, later on in the game, Nerd Rage just becomes such a vulnerability, but so far, Zizon's been able to keep him aggressive.
This is interesting that no member on the... I think this is the first time it's ever happened. No member on Zizon is running Gladiator's Maledict. Not a single player has the Gladiator's Maledict on their team. They're all running On Use and the Proc Trinket just to get some extra main stats, some extra versatility, kind of maximize their damage per second. This is the first time that we've seen it. And no safeguard, maybe one safeguard on Drainer. Neither Jamie, Jamie doesn't look like he's running it either. Badge Insignia for both the damage dealers. So Zizon really focused on just maxing out their sustained pressure, trying to win on mana or a kill potentially earlier on. An interesting strategy for an interesting composition that they're the only ones running between that Warlock Druid Shaman and now this Death Knight Warrior Druid. This is potentially throwing Method Black for a loop. Nerd Rage setting up for an Ice Block push there with a double intimidating shout. Unfortunately not getting the Ice Block, but Chaz's Gladiator's Medallion is also a pretty good cooldown to get out of the way. Waz is going on a solo mission to try and kill Drainer in the backline. Raikou can't help him. Nerd Rage is Blade Storming. They're leaving Nerd Rage and Jamie just to have their way with Raikou. Drainer's going to jump to safety. That Chains of Ice making it impossible for Waz to continue the chase. Drainer's trying to find Chaz to stop him from drinking. Finds him, but Chaz looks for the Cyclone, gets it. Drainer's crowd controlled. Nerd Rage could be in a bit of trouble, so he goes in defensive stance, reduce some damage. Now chopping up Raikou, getting an Ice Block, and I mean, this is looking solid, I would say, overall. The only thing maybe not going in their favor is Drainer's mana at this point, but everything else, I would say that Zizon take game one. And like Healing Stat was saying, if they do, they'll have the swing match advantage for the rest of the season, or rest of the series, which means likely we go all the way to game 7, and likely they take it, which would be an impressive feat, and perhaps they're not wearing crazy pants.
I'm looking forward to a game 7 between these two teams, and just to sort of elaborate on what you were talking about with the Sinister Gladiator's Badge and Insignia, both of those trinkets have versatility, so it's a lot of extra versatility that these guys are going to be able to use, and with Raikou being a Night Elf, he can already do a really good job negating the incoming Maledicts, so it's a bit of a mind game there. Raikou playing Night Elf doesn't get any value with the Shadow Meld, with Jamie and Nerd Rage both not playing Maledict. In addition, Jamie and Nerd Rage, they're going to have a little bit more defense and offensive punch with that on-use trinket, so I think it was a really intelligent decision.
All right, let's see if it works out for them here in game number 1. If it does, it could just take the entire series with the compositions that each team have respectively. Method Black are trying to throw a curveball. They're going after Drainer. Waz goes all in. Gladiator's Maledict's activated. Is it going to be enough to take down Drainer? Can Method Black take the blind pick, the swing match advantage? Drainer holds on, barely. Another Gladiator's Maledict incoming on the run. They dispel off the safeguard shield. Drainer's going to Iron Bark, but Waz is still just right on top of him. Vendetta ready and waiting to be popped at any moment. Waz could take this game completely into his own hands. He catches Drainer out of form. Why are they not going for the Vendetta? I'm very surprised to not see them just commit the Vendetta on that attack, but during the stun, instead they're trying to stop Jamie from denying the drink. Waz is focused on just preventing the mana regeneration stop, and they've done it. Chaz has significantly more mana moving into dampening.
Yeah, but Raikou might be forced into his second ice block. There's the Iron Bark. Do they have the damage to push through? Sharpened Blade gets used by Nerd Rage, a very powerful ability for the Arms Warrior, reducing incoming healing, and that, with dampening, makes it really difficult for Chaz to keep him alive. Big attempt here over on a Drainer. Jamie backs him up with the anti-magic zone. That's no longer going to be available, but it's a fair trade for the Vendetta. Drainer gets caught into a Cyclone. He's low. Nerd Rage still chopping up Raikou. Is it going to be the second ice block? If they can force it out, it's going to be massive. Nerd Rage still on target. Big heals coming in from Chaz with that Innervate, making all of his healing spells free of charge. He's able to throw out those expensive heals. He tops off Raikou. Method Black completely reset the fight in terms of health, and now it's Drainer that's
oh no! Big attack onto Drainer. Bit disrespectful not using the Gladiator's Medallion. They grip Waz off the pillar, but he's got maneuverability with that sprint. He's right back on target. Drainers could be in trouble. Raikou blinks on top of him. Frozen Orb available if they just want to plant that right now and try and go for the kill. They got a 10-second window with no defense. Drainer going to jump across the map, stopping Chaz from drinking and avoiding death at the same time. Good exchange there. They stunned Nerd Rage, but I think that was more so to just peel him away. Waz was in a bit of trouble. Double Frost Nova. Nerd Rage uses Avatar to break out of the root. I will say Nerd Rage's usage of mobility in this matchup is on point. He's able to get a lot more uptime on the targets that he wants to be going after as a result. Definitely playing this warrior at a top tier level. We really haven't seen Arms Warriors at all in a tournament setting. Nerd Rage is certainly showing their strengths here in the finals against Method Black.
Yeah, a lot of damage being used by Nerd Rage and Jamie, putting a lot of pressure on Method Black. Look at Waz. He doesn't have evasion, doesn't really have many defensives left to work with, and I think if Nerd Rage and Jamie turn their attention onto Waz, they could easily take him down, especially if he's not prepared for it. We're at 21% dampening. Mana looking a little bit better for Chaz here, but I think that's kind of to be expected. Chaz looking for a drink as they make an attempt over on a Nerd Rage. Drainer caught in crowd control, and this is so good for Method Black. They've set up an opportunity where Chaz can get out of combat, completely reset his mana. He's going to be looking completely fine. Now Waz in a stun. Do they have the execute? Maybe Chaz left him a little bit too low for too long. Waz, he really doesn't have any defensives. Kidney shot over onto Nerd Rage. There's no trinket available for Nerd Rage. Blind onto Drainer. He trinkets out. He needs to keep Nerd Rage aggressive. They need to keep the damage and the pressure and the momentum on their side. If they lose that, Method Black is going to be in a commanding situation.
I mean, they're very far behind on mana. They're going to have to win purely off crowd control and burst if they want to take this against Method Black. Chaz has secured a late game advantage by drinking frequently in the matchup. Perhaps Method Black can actually turn this game in their own favor. If they get the swing match advantage, then surely when we get to a game 7, they're going to be actually taking it. They go all in on Drainer. He's got double bark skin up, but it might not be enough. Raikou low at the same time, trying to just finish the match. Drainer holds on. Nerd Rage is trying to close it. Raikou in trouble, is forced into the second ice block. Drainer on the run. Waz in hot pursuit. With that sprint, Drainer has to run for his life, but he can't get away from Waz. He needs to get away from Waz. Warbanner drops to try and snipe the kidney shot, but Raikou kills it off. Not going to be soaking any stuns. Drainer has no mana, no health. All he's got is potentially stealthing away from the fight, but Waz fan of knives him out. Waz is now low on health, getting chopped up. Nerd Rage and Jamie just trying to end the game before Drainer falls.
He's getting chopped.
No evasion for 6 more seconds. Iron Bark might not be enough. Its defense is going to be fading, but now he'll have evasion in 1 second. 1 second on evasion. If Nerd Rage gets behind Waz or they stun Waz, then Waz dies. Nerd Rage is Cyclone. He can't execute. He's not going to trinket out. Doesn't want to throw the game defensively, but maybe it would have been wise to just trinket at this point. Drainer, is he drinking? No, he's in stealth. He's attacking. He's got 0 mana. Cold Snap up in 12 for Raikou, 11 seconds for Raikou, 10 seconds. If he doesn't make it to that point, I actually think he's going to die if they can stay on target. Nerd Rage should just go into battle stance, finish the game at this point. There's no reason not to. There's nothing left in the match to keep Jamie alive. We're at that close to 40% mark. Jamie is just a liability now, and it's likely to be that is going to fall. Method Black take game number 1.
One absolutely close. We really will need to be looking for those kind of top 2 spots at the summer finals, but a good goal for that would be winning this tournament. If they win this tournament, they'll prove to be one of the top contenders in Europe, and not only that, they'll also make great strides in terms of getting the points they need to qualify for summer.
Good map selection here for Zizon on Hook Point, realizing that they lost that game because Chaz was able to drink and regenerate mana. Hook Point is almost impossible to drink and regenerate mana, so makes sense. They want to go to the map to stop drinks, and this is the best one for that. Zizon likely to put a point on the board here. Of course, though, I can never count Method Black out, especially when they're running this Rogue Mage Druid. They can turn the odds in their favor on a dime. Nerd Rage and Jamie crowd controlled up. They're going to use the Death Grip to pull Raikou back into the fight, but now he's going to use Shimmer away. Polymorph on Nerd Rage. This is to bait Drainer out of bear form. He's going to stun Waz before dispelling Polymorph so he doesn't get kidney shot out of bear form. Good awareness there on Drainer's part. Waz is going to switch targets, go after Nerd Rage, drop a smoke bomb. They're trying to get the Glider's Medallion from Nerd Rage with this, or maybe even a kill if they get proper crowd control. Nerd Rage, an exposed weakness at this point in time. Die by the Sword at such low health. Is he even going to stay alive through this? This is not the Vendetta. We did not see the anti-magic zone for the Icy Vein, so a bit of a cooldown mismanagement here from Zizon. Now with no Die by the Sword, Vendetta is a lethal cooldown that Waz could pull at any moment.
Yeah, Vendetta's really scary if they can actually manage to find an opportunity. If they get crowd control on Drainer, he's got no trinket, they can get really aggressive. Raikou with the Icy Veins still looking to get some damage rolling, but not able to find it. Garrote Silence over onto Drainer. Waz looking to set up Drainer at this point in the game. Drainer with a nice bash managed to escape from Waz. He just needs to get out of line of sight, but he's left Waz behind. Waz could potentially go for a re-stealth right now. Doesn't look like he's going to go for it. Just gets the kidney out of the Cyclone. Big attempt here by Method Black. What are they going to be able to get done? Drainer, no trinket, uses the Iron Bark, not committing the Bark Skin. This is a bit of a scary moment, but Drainer does manage to hold on. Anti-Magic Zone from Jamie should be enough for him to survive this attempt, and I like this effort from Method Black. Go after Drainer a lot more in this matchup, set up these attempts. Drainer has no trinket, he's got no Iron Bark. It's going to be difficult for him to recover his hit points with Waz all over him. Luckily for him, he still has the Bark Skin, but there's not too much left for Nerd Rage and Jamie to really help him out with.
This is also the weakness of Hook Point, is that you can rush healers down, so Method Black looking to exploit that. Here with Blind on Drainer, he can't heal. Waz needs to try and sap, but he can only use Shadow Meld to get it. It doesn't look like it's either available or it got disrupted. Drainer manages to escape now to safety. Nerd Rage charging towards Raikou, switching into defensive stance. Although during his Blade Storm might not have been necessary. We do see Waz stunning up Drainer. Raikou's too far away, though. He's not going to be able to get there in time. Nerd Rage is going to go for the double intimidating shout. Looks like they may want to target down Waz. Maybe Chaz, actually. Zizon are mixing it up, trying to go after the healer a little bit. He's looking choppable. He's trying to jump away to the Mage, but he's still low on health, trying to get away with the sprint. Nerd Rage charges him, now stunned. Waz going to peel for Chaz, and it looks like he's going to stay alive. Nerd Rage feeling some pain here from the Frozen Orb of Raikou, and now Cycloned on Iron Bark. Well-timed Cyclone by Chaz, but if they don't have any follow-up on Drainer, it's going to be non-consequential in the near future. Nerd Rage is going to recover. Both teams stabilize. I'm trying to take stock of cooldowns. I would say that Zizon are behind on this point in terms of cooldowns, but ahead on mana, which means it's still an even match.
Chaz around 60% mana, actually 50% mana. Drainer has a massive lead in that regard, so if they can slow down Chaz from ever recovering his mana, that's an opportunity for Zizon. Big attempt here on Nerd Rage. Once again, bash from Chaz. Do they have follow-up crowd control? Doesn't look like it. Waz backs him up with a Garrote Silence on a Drainer. Now it's Raikou that's in trouble. This could be the first Ice Block easily. Iron Bark looking to deny. Chaz just spamming out heals with Innervate. Can play very inefficient, but lots of healing throughput with those two cooldowns combined. Raikou gets topped off. And now Method Black, they're completely stable. A little bit of pressure here over onto Waz. And I like what Nerd Rage and Jamie are doing. They're putting pressure onto Raikou, forcing out lots of heal over time effects, and then going after Waz, forcing Chaz to put his attention onto him. And that way they can get Chaz out of mana a lot quicker in a matchup like this. Nerd Rage under pressure.
Let's see what they can get done here. Chaz in crowd control. Raikou the target. Nerd Rage blade storming over. Trying to connect to Raikou. Waz trying to peel Nerd Rage away. Nerd Rage doesn't seem to care that Waz is attacking him at this point in time. Mana still establishing a lead now. The cooldowns are actually in favor of Zizon. I would say that they are in a lead, which is a bit expected here on their best map in this specific matchup. If they are unable to win on Hook Point, I am uncertain that they will be able to win on any map with this composition. Method Black potentially leveling up their play here in the grand finals, only dropping 1 game to this composition, which could have been just a surprise factor more than anything. They're looking solid on the Grand Arena. Drainer, Nerd Rage charging in onto Raikou. Raikou going to be trinketing out of the stun and trying to get to safety, putting down that Frozen Orb and Blizzard, trying to kite through it, but Chains of Ice equally effective at snaring Raikou. He blinks, but he gets Ursula's Vortex back in. Nice play there by Drainer. Nerd Rage cycloned on his Sharpened Blade at low health. It's been unfortunate for Nerd Rage. Drainer, what are you going to do at the end of this? Are you going to go for a drink? Doesn't look like it. Chaz gets gripped into the fight, looking to deny the drinks there. Pressure onto Raikou. Ironbark may not be enough. The strategy of not running those Gladiator Maledict trinkets or the safeguards is definitely allowing the Death Knight and Warrior a lot more sustained pressure. Although at the same time, I wonder if they were running the Gladiator's Maledicts, if they could just end the game during those burst windows. In the meantime, Drainer's crowd controlled. Nerd Rage is falling behind, has to trade a lot of defensive cooldowns. He's running an Azurite trait, so when he uses Avatar, he gets Ignore Pain, which is a slight shield effect, which allowed him to a little bit of extra time for Drainer to sit through that crowd control, but they had to expend a lot of defensive cooldowns to survive, and now Method Black have an opening.
Nerd Rage charging over to Raikou, looking to slow him down, get some damage rolling. He's been on the defensive for so long in this game, and that's one of the weaknesses of the Arms Warriors, is they are susceptible to being trained down, and if you have to sit in defensive stance, your offensive capability gets limited quite a bit in a matchup like this. 10% dampening. Chaz behind on mana for the first time in this game. A nice interrupt coming in from Raikou. What are they going to be able to get done? Kleptomania Spellsteal on Nerd Rage as he's looking to run behind the pillar. Like a spinning top. Does manage to get out of line of sight. Was the kidney shot. Trying to get some damage rolling. Drainer into a blind. Doesn't trinket out. He doesn't have a trinket. He goes into a bash. Is there any follow-up? Can Raikou get there for a polymorph? Unfortunately not. Wild charge over to Nerd Rage. Gets out of line of sight. And now Waz deciding he doesn't want to stay behind the pillar for too long. He needs to get in line of sight of Chaz so we can start getting some heals.
All right, let's see if Chaz can stabilize him. Waz stunned up. Nerd Rage going after him, then switching targets with Drainer's in a polymorph. Nerd Rage doesn't have much defense. He's going to heroic leap to safety at the pillar, waiting for Drainer to get out of crowd control. Method Black aren't going to chase. They're going to change targets instead, going after Jamie. They get Icebound Fortitude, and the longer we go into dampening, the more vulnerable the Death Knight becomes. We've seen time and time again around that 30 to 40% mark that the Death Knights just fall over. So if Chaz maintains mana, which he has, the advantage that Zizon wanted on the map is now lost. They're going to have to kill the Mage quickly because I don't think they're winning this on mana, and if it goes any deeper, Jamie is just going to fall over. Nerd Rage is also vulnerable because he has no defensive cooldowns. This is not looking good for Zizon. This actually is looking like it could be a 4-0 now for Method Black.
I mean, at this point, Method Black, they do have a lead, but Raikou's still under pressure, and really anything could happen. They could make a good attempt over onto Waz, take him down. Raikou could fall as well. They just need some crowd control onto Chaz. Nice death grip coming in from Jamie, denying the Cyclone. Nerd Rage is going on Waz, and Jamie sitting on Raikou. So, bit of a split strategy coming in from Zizon. A big attempt over onto Raikou as he gets interrupted. He's trying to kite away. Is he going to have to ice block? That's the question. Chaz gets interrupted. That was a nice interrupt there by Jamie, but buys him enough time to get the Iron Bark onto Raikou, and he should survive. Now it's Nerd Rage that could be under fire. Drainer's man is not doing well. Chaz able to sneak away and drink earlier on in the game. Really put Method Black in a commanding situation where they are just way ahead.
Way ahead indeed at this point. Vinruki, Method Black are looking solid to go undefeated in the finals if this Warrior Death Knight composition doesn't work out, and it's looking like that's going to be more and more the case for Zizon here. Drainer interrupted. Nerd Rage low on health. Is he going to have to use the die by the sword to survive? He's trying to hold out, but Drainer's blinded. He pre-Iron Barked it. That may be enough. Waz is trying to sap, but that means he's not attacking. He gets the sap. He's trying to get back on the target, but Raikou is getting torn apart right now. Waz is low on health. Dampening starting to backfire as well for Method Black with 2 targets under pressure. Nerd Rage trying to pull off the miracle here. Sharpened Blade is active. That's going to reduce a lot of healing. They switch over to Waz, but Nerd Rage is still so much lower. He gets cycloned on 10% health. Chaz is moving over, looking for the game-winning clone onto Drainer. Can he land it? Nerd Rage leaps over to stop it, but now he's stunned. He's not able to. Die by the sword can't be activated in a stun. They're 1 second away. Nerd Rage holds out. Rallying Cry, boosting his health for a temporary amount of time as he clings to life next to Drainer. Drainer trying to give him the hug of life, but it's not looking too good as he's interrupted on his heel. Waz is waddling his way over to try and finish the job. Drainer connects 1 regrowth, but now he has to deal with Waz potentially interrupting him. Nerd Rage stunned. Big damage here from Waz, but Iron Bark is active and likely to deny the kill on Nerd Rage. Chaz is actually now totally tapped on mana. perhaps an opportunity for Zizon, but it's a slim one.
Foz looking for a re-stealth, unfortunately not able to find it. Chaz not doing well on mana either, and Raikou only has one ice block left. If Zizon can start developing some momentum in this matchup, they could close it out. Chaz with the innervate, trying to keep Raikou alive. Iron Bark as well, but he gets interrupted. Now Raikou's in a full stun. It's ice block. Overlapped with Iron Bark. This is the moment that Zizon needed in this matchup to come back in this series. Can they take Raikou down? Preemptive anti-magic zone to deny a lot of the incoming damage. Drainer in a polymorph into a Cyclone. Nerd Rage in a lot of trouble. Jamie trying to keep him alive with that anti-magic zone, but it's Raikou that's in a lot of trouble. He blinks away. Nerd Rage is all over him. Sid, do you think he's going to be able to survive?
I don't think so with that Cyclone beautifully timed. Jamie has to solo Raikou, and Nerd Rage somehow has to evacuate the situation or just go for the kill. I think that's your only option, is to just go for it. Dampening is too high. You're not going to recover. There's no mana left for either team. It's do or die. Whoever maxes out their damage, whoever maxes out their crowd control is going to win in this position. They've got Raikou locked down in midfield. Chaz can't heal. Drainer's tossing in Solar Wrath. Is Solar Wrath actually going to kill him? They need to put him into execute range for Nerd Rage. They can chop him up and end the game. Raikou is ultimately going. Nerd Rage triggers to kill him, but doesn't get it. He's stunned on 1%, but Nerd Rage gets there. And finally, the satisfying sound of an execute. Nerd Rage is picked, then the swing match will turn in their favor. If they can't, then this is likely to continue penduluming, is that a word, all the way to game 7. And if that is the case, they will have to find a different composition to blind lock, but they've had enough of running the Warlock Druid, Shaman into Rogue Mage Druid. They've had enough of it. They'd much rather see how this matchup fares, but I feel like it's going to be more of the same. Although maybe Nerd Rage's usage of mobility could be the X factor for them. Maybe the fact that they don't run the Gladiator's Maledicts, I'm going to double check that they aren't in this specific matchup, could be a reason why they can find victory here. Looks like they're not running the Gladiator's Maledicts again, or at least not on Nerd Rage, so still playing for that strategy. Actually, there is one. Jamie is running it, which makes me wonder if Drainer is also running it. Drainer is running it as well, but Nerd Rage isn't. So Nerd Rage gets some extra versatility as opposed to the offense of the Gladiator's Maledict, and the Warrior likely to target before dampening, so he is going to be taking more damage overall in the game. Makes sense that he would want to max out his versatility. He's also running versatility on his gear, although not on all pieces of gear. Actually, only on a couple. He's kind of mixing both. No, sorry, I'm looking at Drainer here. He is maxing out haste and versatility, so Nerd Rage is anticipating that he will be the target. He wants to reduce as much damage on himself as possible in the build that he's running. Raikou set up on in a 3 versus 1 situation by Nerd Rage. Ursul's Vortexed in. Drainer going for a Gladiator's Maledict push. Raikou Shadow melds it. And the thing is, when you're only running 2 Gladiator's Maledicts, the healer can dispel one, and then the DPS member can use a Rachel to prevent the second one. So I'm not really sold on only running 2 Gladiator's Maledicts. I think it's either 3 Maledicts or none. They go for the second one, but it's dispelled instantly by Chaz, so no benefit really there. There's a lot more pressure than I anticipated from Zizon here in game number 3, though, which is showing promise.
Yeah, they have some damage over onto Waz, but the problem is when he wants to, he can run away a very slippery target, especially if they focus on Waz. Raikou's going to be able to free cast out polymorphs, as well as a lot of consistent damage with the Frostbolt. So it's a little bit scary if they put too much attention over onto Waz, but you can't really blame them. Nerd Rage is having a really difficult time. I think this is probably one of the most difficult matchups you could possibly play in as an Arms Warrior. You're chasing a Frost Mage with a Windwalker Monk, just spamming Turbo Fist and Disable on you. You're getting Polymorphed, you're getting Nova'd. Nerd Rage has been able to put out good pressure so far, but it's an uphill battle. Certainly Drainer taking a little bit of damage as Waz puts some attention onto him. Raikou with a nice polymorph on Jamie. It just seems like Method Black in this matchup, they have a lot more control over the game.
I think it's also important to note the differences in Druid builds. I know some people were wondering, at the moment, Nerd Rage in a bit of trouble. I wanted to explain something there, but he could actually go down. This composition that Method Black brought in Game 3 doing a lot of damage. Even despite having Iron Bark, Nerd Rage may fall. He's going to use Gladiator's Maledict, that Rallying Cry about to fade. Drainer stabilizes him with a Swift Mend. But there are 2 main builds for Restoration Druid in terms of stats. One is when you're playing Feral Affinity, you go Haste Versatility. The versatility increases your damage, increases your healing, and reduces the damage you take. It doesn't increase your healing as significantly as Mastery, but because of all the drawbacks of Feral Affinity, it shores up some of the weaknesses. So often we see Draenor running that Feral Affinity, and these stats benefit him the most when running that affinity, whereas Chaz, on the other hand, is not running the Feral Affinity, and he's focused only on Haste and Mastery. And Mastery will be higher overall health per second, but does make him a little bit more vulnerable to being targeted. But with a Mage and a Windwalker on his team, they're really not going to be able to spend a lot of time on him, so he can get away with running the maxed out stats for healing per second. Draenor has to go for more so the versatility build, so he takes less damage and does more damage. In this position, Waz is a bit of a target, gripped towards and away from Draenor. Waz is actually trying to kill Draenor, which is interesting. We have seen in the North American region that the Windwalker Mage is fully capable of killing a Druid. I believe we watched Storm versus Method Orange. They mirrored his Windwalker Mage. It actually ended up being a Druid race. So Draenor is just going to die. Big burst window there for Method Black. I was not anticipating them to close the game out that quickly, but this matchup plays now that we see them all running the Gladiator's Maledict trinket, Vin.
Yeah, I mean, it is going to give them an extra offensive push that they can make onto Raikou. Of course, he is playing that Night Elf racial. And also, with the reduction in versatility, I mean, 200 versatility definitely adds up onto Nerd Rage. He's going to be taking a lot more damage in this game if they decide to go after him. And it looks like that is going to be their main focus. Raikou getting some damage out right now onto Jamie, onto Nerd Rage. What are they going to be able to get done? Kidney Shot onto Nerd Rage. But Draenor counter bash onto Raikou. He trinkets out, wants to keep the aggression rolling. One Maledict flies over onto Raikou. Shadow Meld. Are they going to commit the next two? I feel like they have to use all three in succession to get any value out of them.
Yeah, they will have to coordinate 3 in a row. 1 to deal with Shadow Meld, 1 to deal with Dispel, and then 1 to get a cooldown or get a kill. If they can rotate those 3 Gladiators Maledicts for big pushes on the Mage, this is certainly a win condition that Zizon can utilize. Jamie getting burnt here early on. Draenor tries to sustain with Iron Bark, but it's now Cycloned at very low health. Are Method Black going to win this game in seconds? If they switch the crowd control over, it could just be game over. Drainor's trying to sit blind, but Chaz is right on top of him, bashes his trinket. Waz's Chains of Ice can't connect. Jamie is looking like he's going to be able to maybe not stabilize. He's going to duck for cover around the boxes. Anti-Magic Shield going to soak up the Gladiator's Maledict trinket. Now Jamie going back onto target, stunning up the healer, trying to pressure Raikou. Get some momentum for his team. Sharpened Blade, battle stance from Nerd Rage. They're leaving Nerd Rage open again, and I don't think that this is a player you want to leave open very long. Big heal from Chaz, stabilizes him for now. I'm just curious to see how Method Black play around Nerd Rage, because him in battle stance is wreaking havoc.
Yeah, a lot of damage over onto Waz as well. He has the evasion. He's getting low. Doesn't want to mess around. What is he doing? Evasion comes out. Cloak of Shadows as well. That was way too close. If he got caught in an execute there, the game was just over. Waz literally dancing with death, using his evasion, does manage to survive, but at the expense of every single defensive cooldown. And now, Method Black, they're in a vulnerable position.
All right, Method Black in a vulnerable position early on here against Zizon. Zizon, the only team really to be able to even take games off Method Black so far in the summer season. They're looking to be like an impressive force for the overall season. I'm curious to see what 8.2 brings in regards to changes in compositions and strategies. Which teams will be able to adapt on the fly and pick them up the fastest, because there's going to be a lot of cups, 4 cups in fact, on that patch. So more cups on that patch than this. The significant amount of points to be earned on a completely, almost entirely different game at that point. So there's going to be big opportunities for new teams that come in, as well as opportunities for teams that have been competing with maybe strategies that aren't the best. Waz in trouble. He's isolated. Drainor's trying to chase him down. Chaz is trying to get back to him. Waz actually mounting up. Raikou getting owned on a swap. Mana is not looking good for Method Black. This is a solid game from Zizon, although I'm wondering if it's attributed to the targeting again from Method Black. We finally see them going on to Nerd Rage instead of Jamie, forcing him into that defensive stance and limiting the warrior. But Nerd Rage doesn't care. He's going to battle stance. He's trying to end this. The triple stun lock was trying to take him down, but Iron Bark is too much. They're going to switch targets. While they switch targets and had pressure, Draenor was drinking. Good response by Zizon. Chaz now sees that. He's trying to drink. Jamie's waddling over to try and stop that as soon as possible, but Chaz is now in stealth. He gets sniped by the Death and Decay. Interrupt onto the Cyclone. Beautifully done there from Jamie, stopping the drink and preventing himself from being crowd controlled. And now Zizon have the mana lead.
Yeah, big damage over on Raikou as well as Waz. Chaz way behind on mana. He has the Innervate rolling. He's trying to top off the rest of his team. Is he going to be able to do it? Everyone from Zizon completely healthy at this point, and I really expected Method Black to have more pressure rolling onto Nerd Rage. They're having to polymorph him up, play a little bit safe in this situation. Raikou looking to get some aggression rolling, but Nerd Rage just isn't taking any damage. Still on top of Raikou. Big attempt now over onto Drainer. Do they have the damage to follow it up? Unfortunately, Waz gets death gripped away by Jamie. Really good backup. And now it's Raikou who's on the defensive. He gets interrupted on Frost, forced to go into the ice block. And that's one of those situations where if he had Temporal Shield, he might have been able to hold on to that ice block.
That could have been a situation indeed, and now Chaz is very far behind on mana. How long can they keep it up? I'm thinking we're going to a game 5 here, but will Method Black be able to close out the series? They can rely on that Windwalker Warrior. I'm wondering what Zizon would lock blind if should they win this game here on Dalaran Sewers, but I mean, it's looking like they've already got the team in checkmate unless Chaz can get a drink, which he's trying to do right now. Do they see him? Drainer's trying to get over there, dashing in to find Chaz. He finds him, stops the drink, tries to hibernate him, actually catches the hibernate. Beautifully done by Drainer. Waz in a lot of trouble as a result. If Drainer gets a Cyclone out of this, Waz knows Cyclone's a threat, so he's going to be poking Drainer and chasing him away from Chaz. Chaz sits down for another drink. Drainer jumps on top. Drainer finds him with the Vortex. It's all about stopping Chaz's mana regeneration. Drainer ping-pong in between healing his team and stopping the drink at the same time masterfully here on game number 4. Raikou and Waz both under pressure. Chaz has to make a decision on who he Ironbarks. He can't Ironbark 2 people, but if he Ironbarks the wrong target, Zizon will switch. They do catch Nerd Rage in a stun, but he pre-defensive stanced this incoming attack. And with Ironbark right before getting crowd control, Nerd Rage should be more than stable. He's trying to stay on target and develop pressure despite Method Black's attack. And it looks like he is going to be able to. Vendetta now popped as well, although not too much pressure as a result. Chaz is trying to drink again. Jamie and Drainer are tag teaming to stop it. It's all about following Chaz on the map, keeping him in combat while still dealing damage to Raikou and Waz. If they can keep up that dance for a little bit longer, they should be able to take it. Nerd Rage under fire again.
Yeah, big damage on Nerd Rage. Frozen the Orb gets committed by Raikou. They're trying to get really aggressive. Ironbark forced to be traded up by Chaz. It's Waz that's in trouble. He's in an Asphyxiate stun, trying to survive, using Feint, using the damage reduction. Now Nerd Rage and Jamie, they're turning their attention onto Raikou. They can't let him free cast for too long. They really need to limit the amount of Blizzards and Frostbolts he can cast out in this matchup. Now a bash over onto Drainer. Chaz, if he can get the crowd control, maybe they can start getting some damage rolling onto Jamie, but at 9% dampening, I still feel like Jamie's a really tanky target. And once again, it's Raikou that is in trouble. Nerd Rage charges over. Ice Barrier looking to deny a lot of that incoming damage as Raikou uses Shimmer to escape. Drainer still has a massive mana lead. Chaz, is he going to be able to drink in this situation? This is the biggest thing. They're going to trade out an Ice Block from Raikou, and now he doesn't have another one for another 3 minutes.
All right, no Ice Blocks for Method Black. Chaz, is he drinking though? No, not that much mana. This is not looking good for Method Black. Zizon looks solid here in game number 4. If Nerd Rage can stay on target, Raikou and Waz are getting into that juicy execute range when a target dips below 20%. Arms Warriors can use execute, which does increase damage based on their rage and is likely to kill the target. Nerd Rage sets up the fear to try and make a big push, but now he's stunned away. Waz holding him at bay. Drainer's trying to get to the smoke bomb. No punish on the movement there, unfortunately, for Method Black. They are switching their attention now to Jamie. I think Deep and Dampening, definitely the Death Knight is the better target. So instead of going after Nerd Rage, they're going to be crowd controlling him. Jamie anticipates the attack, activates the anti-magic shield before any damage even hits him. He's going to be A-OK. He's trying to find Chaz, who's trying to drink. I think he may have at least gotten one tick off of this, which is unfortunate. Zizon had such a huge lead, and now it's even.
It looks like Jamie is going to be the main focus, as he is taking quite a bit of damage. He's forced to trinket out. Anti-magic zone as well. There's a bash over on the Drainer. Can Raikou get the follow-up polymorph? Doesn't look like it. Jamie getting low, but I think it might be Raikou that's in trouble. Ironbark gets traded out. Waz getting cleaved down as well. Raikou really struggling to get topped off right now. If Jamie and Nerd Rage can stay on target, they have so much pressure, a lot of momentum on their side. Drainer's keeping them alive, allowing them to make this offensive push. Raikou caught into a bash. He trinkets out, looking for another polymorph to slow down some damage. Kidney shot over onto Jamie. Drainer trying to avoid the incoming polymorph from Raikou. Good pressure from Nerd Rage and Jamie, forcing Waz to play defensive. He's got no evasion. Feint trying to be enough, but there's just so much damage. Waz kites away. He shadow steps back over to the water elemental, but he's in a lot of trouble. Is he going to be able to escape? He uses the Vanish. He has Vendetta rolling. Chaz was able to recover some mana, but I think Waz might just die.
Yeah, Waz is trying to poke in and out of the fight and survive at the same time, but It's such a difficult decision to make when there's nothing really left in the tank, but they've got pressure on 2 targets. Nerdrage is getting soloed by Raikou. Big Ray of Frost. Nerdrage could fall. He's got cooldowns. Why isn't he using them? He's just going to die. He has Rallying Cry. He's going to press it. He waited so long to press Rallying Cry there. Now he's stunned with the Shadow Step, and he's going to get crushed here. Waz with the perfect retaliation, and Method Black advanced to match point.
Yeah, really.
It's a really back and forth series. Method Black has been doing a really good job, and they are just 1 game away from closing out the series and claiming the 2nd cup in a row.
I like the map selection here from Zizon on Blades Edge Arena. It's difficult as a mage to traverse its treacherous spikiness. I think that we're going to see Raikou use the outskirts of the map if it becomes too dicey at the top of the bridge, because it's very close quarters, which means the Warrior and the Death Knight can ping-pong targets very easily. It's not often that we see Blades Edge Arena selected. Big damage onto Raikou early on. Chaz is trying to deny the pressure with Iron Bark, but Raikou needs to try and escape to safety at the same time. Shadow melds 1 Gladiator's Maledict. Are they going to go for the 2nd or the 3rd? I'm also wondering how much impact these Gladiator's Maledicts have had overall in the matchup, because initially they weren't running any, now they're running 3. Bit of a blunder there on the kidney shot for Nerdrage. Very small and diminishing return. Chaz still getting crowd controlled, and you can see how the map is working for Zizon. Raikou and Chaz are still close to each other, Waz as well, so as time goes on, momentum will build. They may decide to abandon the top of the bridge here shortly if things start to get out of control.
Yeah, Jamie on top of Raikou right now, trying to deny the damage. Chaz gets interrupted. This is the kind of strategy we have to see from Nerdrage and Jamie. They go after Raikou, and if they can't hit Raikou, they still make their way over on top of him, but try to hit Waz as sort of an off target and deny a lot of the mana that Chaz has available, making him heal multiple targets. Have to see what they can get done. A big attempt now over onto Nerdrage. Jamie going to be trying to deny. Anti-Magic Zone gets dropped down. Drainer in full Cyclone as Nerdrage is still getting low. There's been really good crowd control coming in from Chaz. Can they just close out the game? Nerdrage forced to Trinket out of a Cyclone. Chaz looking for an additional Cyclone, but Nerdrage using the Blade Storm to immune that incoming crowd control. Really scary moment. Nerdrage commits his Trinket. Now doesn't have that available for the next Smoke Bomb attempt Method Black has available.
All right, let's see if Method Black can set up the win here. They're on match point. They could just close the series out. Zizon are counter-attacking Raikou at the moment while Chaz is out of the fight drinking, but Chaz drank to full mana, and that is important for their team. If he can maintain mana, most certainly deep into dampening, that Death Knight becomes a liability. The Death Strike's certainly not potent enough, so this game could go anyone's way here. It's match point. Chaz gets stunned. He wanted to crowd control Drainer. This stun is preventing Chaz from getting to him, and now allowing Drainer to prepare for the assault. Activating Iron Bark before being crowd controlled. Good predictive play there on Drainer's part. They decide to not even go for the Cyclone, knowing that that defense is active. It's unlikely they kill, so they'll save the diminishing return. Drainer is playing very far away. Looks like he may be trying to go into stealth and then engage with some crowd control. Nope, just going to be running down. Raikou now using the outskirts of the map to kite, realizing that the top of the bridge is not going to be favorable to them, so using the bottom parts of the ramp and going around in a circle or a rectangle in this case, I think is going to be the best positions for Raikou. Mana slightly in favor of Method Black thanks to Chaz finding drinks early on. No significant cooldown advantage right now for Zizon. I would say that they are steadily falling behind.
Now Raikou still trying to find some damage. Can he get it rolling over onto Jamie and Nerdrage? Nerdrage still with no Trinket. Smoke Bomb not going to be available though. Nice interrupts sniped in there by Raikou. Jamie could be in some trouble. Triple intimidating shout coming in from Nerdrage. Does break onto Waz and Raikou. Chaz now in an asphyxiate zone as they turn their attention onto him. They're trying to slow down the incoming Cyclones. Jamie still low. Drainer really struggling to find the healing. I think he actually sat down for a drink. It was a bit of a scary moment. Jamie got low, Nerdrage got low, but at the end of the day, they bought enough time for Drainer to go, get out of combat, start recovering his mana via drinking, and now basically we see a complete reset.
Right, complete reset for both sides here. Match point in the grand finals of the European Summer Cup #2. If Zizon somehow managed to reverse this, 3 wins in a row, I do believe that they'd pass Wildcard Gaming on points. That would make them feel a lot more comfortable moving into the new patch and the rest of the season. So they need to find victory here. Whereas if Method Black win, they're just so far ahead on points overall for the entire year that I almost think it's impossible for Wildcard Gaming or even any other team to catch them. They would have to blunder the next 4 tournaments for that situation to happen. So Method Black are looking to potentially lock in their spot even at BlizzCon by being able to take this cup as they would just have so many points accumulated for the year over every other team. Drainer jumps in to get crowd control to try and keep Zizon alive in the tournament, but they don't have any follow-up. Jamie's actually just attacking the Druid. Chaz is going to run away. Now they can switch back to Raikou. Nerd Rage bouncing targets. This is the advantage of Blade's Edge Arena, is you can ping-pong targets so easily when one escapes, and as a result, they get Ice Block from Raikou. Chaz is probably going to want to drink and reset mana, but he can't. He's not positioned. Now they ping-pong over to Waz. Pressure there. Chaz has to heal 3 members of the team and spend a whole bunch of mana to recover.
Chaz gets caught into Asphyxiate Stun. The pressure is mounting still for Zizon. Raikou used his first Ice Block, still has the Cold Snap available. He uses it to reset that cooldown, and now can start waiting for that 3rd Ice Block to potentially roll around. We're at 2% dampening right now. If we look at the healer's mana, Chaz is a little bit behind. Drainer has a slight lead. Vendetta gets pulled out by Waz. They're looking to get aggressive. There's a Cyclone over on the Nerd Rage. Do they have the follow-up crowd control on the Drainer? That's what they need to find right now, but unfortunately, not able to. Waz is sort of dancing around Drainer and Nerd Rage right now. Jamie and Nerd Rage are just going after Chaz. They put out a lot of pressure in this game so far. Kidney Shot over on the Drainer. He's in bear form with Bark Skin. I think it's unlikely he falls in this situation, but they did manage to get the Bark Skin, which is a small victory.
Small victory here for Method Black. If they want to just close this series out, I think that's a good adaptation on the map, as there's limited points of line of sight. Healers are susceptible to being taken down. Zizon are trying to capitalize on that by going after Chaz, but Nerd Rage gets peeled away by Waz. Jamie can't connect. They drop the smoke bomb. They're going all in for the kill. How many more stuns do they have? They don't have any more. Nerd Rage uses Spell Reflect on very low health with Iron Bark to try and stay alive. Isn't going to be enough. Dampening now at 8%, but look at the health bars of Method Black. 3 members, sub 50%. Limited options for Chaz. Very low mana, but at the same time, they're pressuring Nerd Rage. It's getting to that do or die point for both teams. They're going to have to make a choice on when to make that final push as dampening continues to rise.
Yeah, good pressure still on Nerd Rage. When are they going to make that final push? Really is the question. Icy Veins rolling for Raikou, but he's forced into a very defensive situation. Jamie manages to land the Asphyxiate onto Chaz. Raikou on the run. Nerd Rage, can he get the damage that he needs? He's trying to get in range. They've managed to force out the 2nd Ice Block, and I feel like it's unlikely at this point we see a 3rd. I really feel like Method Black, they have to close out the game soon, or Zizon's going to be walking away with game number 5.
Do or die on Blade's Edge Arena. Method Black just need to win 1 game. Zizon have to win 3. That is a lot to do, especially when they're falling behind. Drainer anticipated the crowd control. He activated Iron Bark before it, but it may not be enough. Nerd Rage Spell Reflects 1 Glare's Maledict. Jamie backs him up with the anti-magic zone. This purple shield, the only thing protecting Nerd Rage right now, but Waz really doesn't care about its defense. Nerd Rage going to leap over, deny crowd control into Drainer, and hopefully get some heals. He's very low on health. Big shield from that Avatar Azurite trait on the Nerd Rage, absorbing some pretty big attacks, but now he's stunned up. Drainer tries to pick him up. He's got Innervate. He's getting a lot of free healing, maximizing his global cooldowns here to stabilize at no mana cost, but Drainer then gets Cycloned. There's no defense for Nerd Rage. It's do or die. There's no defense for Raikou either. They grip Chaz in. Nerd Rage charges forward as a warrior would do. This would be quite the warrior's death, to just go for the kill or have your life be taken. That's the only option at this point for Zizon.
Bash on to Raikou with a Kitty Shot over on a Nerd Rage. Waz looking to reverse the pressure, but Nerd Rage is in a Cyclone. Unfortunately, a lost opportunity there for Method Black to start developing some momentum, but Chaz really had no choice. He doesn't have much mana left to work with. They have to try to avoid as much damage as possible. Waz isn't necessarily the greatest target right now. He has a lot of his defense. I think for Zizon, it's going to be a one-way pain train onto Raikou for the rest of the game. Chaz uses Iron Bark the last little bit of his mana to keep Raikou alive, but if Jamie and Nerd Rage can stay on target, I think Raikou could fall very shortly in this match. Kidney Shot over onto Nerd Rage. Drainer denies with the Iron Bark as they make their final offensive push onto Raikou. I don't know if he's going to be able to escape. We're at 22% dampening. Chaz is really going to struggle to heal through this.
All right, Chaz, what are you going to do? You're totally tapped. Drainer still has a little bit left in the tank. Raikou's low on health. There's no way they're going to be able to drink. He's trying to, maybe? Chaz is sprinting around. What's he trying to get done here? They stun Nerd Rage. Nerd Rage triggered. Nerd Rage knows this game is over if they can get aggressive. 2 targets so dangerously low. Waz evasions, but Raikou doesn't have that luxury, and he gets absolutely crushed. Zizon take game number.
See how it works for Method Black. Maybe they just win the game instantly. Maybe Zizon has no chance in this matchup. We'll have to see what can happen. And Swapsy's actually going to play the Demonic Circle. So he has a little bit more mobility in this matchup, not opting for that Mortal Coil, but you can see what Zizon's going to be doing. They want no part of the midfield. They want to be hiding as far away as possible. And the one good thing about this Demonic Circle is Swapsy, if he was not running it, he would be very susceptible to be getting gripped in like Raikou is. And that is when Nerd Rage and Jamie could have high uptime, keep up that consistent damage. Now that he has a Demonic Circle, he can basically trade 1-for-1 with that Death Grip to Portal away. Raikou getting tunneled down in the matchup so far. A little bit of burst damage incoming. But Method Black does manage to stabilize, and I feel like this is one of those games where Zizon, they're going to be sitting at this pillar, and it could go on for some time.
I'm making a prediction that this is the highest dampening we've ever seen in the summer season.
Higher than 58%?
Significantly higher than 58%.
Significantly higher. Let's hear it.
80%.
8? Oh,
I don't think so.
I don't think so.
I think this is going to 80% dampening, and I'm going to make the crazy assumption here that Zizon are going to kill Raikou. 80% dampening, Raikou is going to die. That's my prediction right now.
Right.
I'm not betting anything on it. I just want to make a crazy prediction, so it's amazing if it's right, okay?
If it's right.
That's the only reason.
I'll have to see if that comes true. We'll have to see what Zizon's going to be able to get done. I think Method Black, with this composition, they're going to be feeling pretty confident to push in at this point. They can tunnel down Drainer. They can throw down the Frozen Orb, the Rain of Fire, the Blizzard, put out a lot of AoE spread pressure, and it could tax Drainer's mana quite a bit to heal through it. So far, that hasn't been the case. Nerd Rage is going to be putting some damage over onto Swapsy, and Swapsy has to be careful. He can't be too far away from his Demonic Circle. He is slowly walking towards it. Jamie keeping Chains of Ice on him, making it difficult for him to get in line of sight to actually get some damage rolling. Chaz gets caught into an Asphyxiate stun. Nerd Rage, Jamie, and Drainer, they're all just running away as much as they can. They don't want to have to deal with Method Black at this point of the game. They really have to go for that late game stall tactic if they want to have any sort of edge in this matchup.
Swapsy used his Demonic Circle a bit aggressively, so they're getting uptime on Swapsy right now. Really taking it to him. That Demonic Gateway out into midfield is going to allow him to escape. Chaos Bolt, Spell Reflected, I believe. That's coming right back at Swapsy, but didn't even look like it really tickled him. Now we see Zizon positioned at the pillar, and that's the main goal. Zizon just to stay alive with as much mana and cooldowns as possible to make an overwhelming push and dampening. That is their main strategy. On this map, if they try to fight in midfield, they're exposed to crowd control and they're exposed to potential death. So you don't want to be out in the open if those are basically the only two results of being out in the open, especially before dampening. So they are going to be playing at the pillar for as long as possible. The advantage is with the Windwalker Mage is that if they do this strategy, the Windwalker just stuns all three of them, and Fist of Fury is all three of them, so they can't get away with this strategy, which is why I think the Windwalker Mage would have been safer overall. Even with the Elemental Shaman, there's just more instant cast stuns with the Lightning Lasso. I think that would be very important. Chaz could potentially be maximizing his Feral Affinity a little bit better as well. Cubsy, will see when he is running this Feral Affinity, is constantly re-stealthing, jumping in, and landing stuns for the team. Chaz hasn't really been doing that. I think it is an important part of the formula. Chaz is also not running Master Shapeshifter, so he's not getting an extra 25% damage when he's in cat form. This might be a lack of experience on the composition overall, because Cloud9 almost certainly would be running the Feral Affinity Master Shapeshifter, adding in stuns, and really punishing the positioning of Zizon. But with this strategy that Method Black are employing, it's like just the ultimate dampener strat. I'm not sure if it's going to work.
I mean, it's working so far. So far, they've taken literally no damage. They've been completely safe the entire game. Anti-Magic Zone trades out. And that's similar to the kind of smoke bomb that we saw from Colo in North America not so long ago, where you're just trading out these big defensive cooldowns in order to stay alive and stall out the game for as long as you can, because like we said, it is going to take dampening for Jamie and Nerd Rage to make a move over onto Swapsy. Drainer actually getting swapped to, though. A big attempt. Drainer could just fall. What is he going to do? He trinkets out. Shadow Meld, Ironbark. Still hasn't used the Barstein. Comes up now. The Chaos Bolt lands. And Method Black playing aggressive. Chaz.
The final cup of 8.1.5 for Europe. All these teams will now have a 2-week vacation whilst they figure out patch 8.2 and come back into Cup 3, hopefully on the same level of strength that we've seen from them as they've figured out this patch. Obviously, Zizon also going to be incredibly happy with this performance. The top two, definitely nothing that they would have been unhappy with coming into this.
I mean, absolutely not. And they were improving against Method Black. I feel like a lot of those games could have gone in Zizon's favor, except the last one. That one was kind of a complete disaster.